The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Live tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, LSRTV. Happy to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to week number 20 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, presented by the Championship Esports Association, as we get set for another Wednesday night of action in tonight's Myrtle Beach 250. Three divisions going to be up and at it tonight: mini stocks, super trucks, and the limited late models to close it all out. And we start with the 50 laps in the mini stocks. Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop, and Cisco Scaramuza with you. And the Coop cars are on track, so let's head right down trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for this 50-lap mini stock main event that'll get the night kicked off. Pole position will belong to Tommy Ryan, the number 6. Will roll off for the grid in P1, and he's accompanied on the front row by the 26 of Brandon Wilkinson. Back on the row 2, going to be Matthew Tucker's 43 and James Krahula's number 8. They start 3rd and 4th respectively. Tyler Stevens just behind them rounds through your top 5.
Yeah, and starting in the 6th position will be Will Dravicki. Ricky Harden starts in the 7th position. 8th place is Jody Green. Then we've got DJ Beverly starting in the 9th position. And Joshua King starts 10th.
11th position is going to be Paul Hemley. David Messier is 12th. 13th spot goes to Randy Oakham. Jeremy Watkins is 14th. And that may just be it as we take a look top to bottom at your starting grid. And we've seen these mini stocks over the course of the season. Last time we saw them was 3 weeks ago to week 17, where Ricky Harden went on to take the win in this division. Should also notice, you take a look at the championship standings, that this has now all been concluded for this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. We wrapped up all of our points races as of a week ago, so that is the final points results that you're taking a look at tonight's Myrtle Beach 250, and then as well next week's Myrtle Beach 400, some special events as we close out the season. And we're happy that you're with us, as cars are going to get set to roll off for the Grid Coupe. 50 laps of these mini stocks is, again, a little bit longer than what we have typically seen with them over the course of the year. They tend to go from 20 to 30 laps or so, so it is fair to say a little bit of uncharted territory as we roll in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and with these guys going out there right now, you'll have, I think, 15 drivers going out there tonight, and one of our bigger fields that we've had in the series. And I think they basically let everyone race this race if they wanted to, even if they weren't a part of the points picture earlier on in the season. Of course, I think that was the case towards the end of the season last time. So we will have 50 laps here tonight, like you said, a lot longer than we expect in these cars, and it's during the day. So definitely the action's going to be up and pumping for these drivers. And then we'll have a couple more races. We'll have a 100-lap super truck feature, which will be really fun to see. And then another race tonight. Only 3 races, but they're some longest ones we've had all season. 100 laps with the limited late models.
That's how we get to our total distance to 250 laps here in this race. But it all starts now with the mini stocks. Pace car down and in. And we go racing for the 20th time of the 2017-18 Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Tommy Ryan is up front, a driver who's found plenty of success in mini stocks. He'll open up tonight's Myrtle Beach 250. American Ethanol, green flying in the air. You can see the better jump topside. That was the 26 of Wilkinson. He checked up a couple of times trying to not beat Tommy Ryan to the start-finish line. He's able to check back up in time, and that's going to allow Ryan to clear him for the race lead. First time down the back and into quarter number 3.
Yeah, and Tommy Ryan's been a fast driver the last few weeks, especially in this series, as you can see him shading the outside of Tommy Ryan, and he should have him here. At least he should have the outside lane to himself, and this also brings everyone behind them in. Oh, someone's getting... Oh, Oh, someone got a huge tap on the inside lane there, but I'm not sure who that was. Probably Tyler Stevens in the number 70 machine, but nonetheless, here comes a battle for the third position. Looks like James Krahula wants to throw the nose on the inside of Matthew Tucker. Tucker is going to be able to stay on the outside, and so he'll be able to keep the position. Top 4 stays as they are. Top 5 is now going to add Will Dravicki into that picture, and yeah, the 70 of Tyler Stevens, he went all the way to the back.
Yeah, really quickly dropped from 5th to 15th position. A couple of other drivers going the wrong direction. DJ Beverly, just as they say that, he's spinning on the outside of turn number 3. The 42 car is around. He is going to get the quick toe to the pit lane. And I think because it was just a one-car accident, we are going to stay green. He had lost a couple of spots, though, got roughed up a little bit, ended up at the outside wall. And just like that, 2 drivers from inside of the top 10 gone early in this one as well. So it looks like a tough going for a lot of these drivers right out of the gate.
Yeah, this is a long race, so I'm really surprised that a couple of drivers have already had issues, but the 70 is going to try and reel these guys back in, so we're going to get a replay of what exactly happened. But then you're going to go throughout the rest of the field and say, all right, well, everyone's starting to get spread out, but we do have a battle for the lead. However, Tommy Ryan is now defending the 26 of Brandon Wilkinson. I think Tommy Ryan can be successful defending him from now, as you're seeing what's going on. But yeah, the 26 of Wilkinson, he's been bad fast the last few weeks in these cars, and this is, I believe, something that he can pull off. But it's a long race. They still have, you know, well more than 40 laps to go. So I mean, anything can happen here in these races, especially when they're this long with tire wear. And this track absolutely eats tire wear, as we know. It's a long race, still a long race ahead of us.
So we'll see if these guys, you know, maybe calm things down a little bit as this race goes on. They're still nice and tight up at the front of the field. As noted, you got Ron Wilkinson, Tucker, 1, 2, 3. They all run in the positions in which they started. In fact, you can include Krahula in that conversation as well. Only 9/10 off for the race leader, running in 4th, exactly where he started. But there's also a couple of guys who need to get hustling and try to catch up. And Will Dravicki is leading that charge in that 30 car. Now to the inside of Krahula, 8 car, a little bit tight off for the quarter. And Dravicki's going to be able to get to the inside and should be able to complete the pass. Inside is the place to be, but he's going to get into the wall and he'll tag Krahula. They ain't going to slide, and he's going to go all the way around, and that is caution for the first time at lap number 8.
James Krahula goes around here on the front straightaway, and we'll get a replay of exactly what happened here. And I think we saw most of it right there, but you can see the two fighting side by side. He taps the inside wall and just was not able to keep it down there. And he kind of gets the brunt of his own force right there, because that brings one driver down the track and then one driver up the track. And so that makes James Krahula kind of the big victim in this one, as he really didn't have, really wasn't his fault. That was Dravicki having the issue, but Dravicki's going to go to the back of the field here while they're under caution. They're going to have a 1 to go with no cone car this week, so and next week it's going to be the same for both weeks. And tell you what, Krahula has a lot of damage, and so does same as Will Dravicki. So they'll see each other at the back of the field now, as we'll get a quick yellow here.
And I mean, it's a tough break for Krahula because he did exactly what you would expect him to do, and that is try to defend that position. But that is hardly cooped the first time on Wednesday night. We've seen somebody get into that pit road wall. And the 2 turns here, 4 turns overall, but the section of 1 and 2, and then, of course, 3 and 4 at the end of the racetrack, very different, because we always talk about those curbs, the bumps on the inside of the racetrack in 1 and 2, that we see drivers cheating down to the apron a little bit. Those cause havoc. On that other end of the racetrack, it is the polar opposite, with that wall coming right out to the inside line, and both of those have definitely been factors all season, and I think the big reason why we had the first yellow flag of the night. Quick cleanup though, pace car is already back down and in. Gonna be Tommy Ron and Brandon Wilkinson on the front row once more. Much cleaner restart for both sides as the battle for the race lead heads to turn 1.
Yeah, and you'll see Tommy Ryan on the bottom side able to get up really quick, and so then you start already looking back to 3rd place, where Matthew Tucker He's going to try and get clear of Ricky Harden. Harden has had a good charge up to the front. He started 7th, so he's up a few positions. Christian Peterson right behind him, to no surprise, from 17th to 5th. He's looking to win his first one in this series, and look at the lead. Brendan Wilkinson to the very bottom of the track. He's trying to get that. He's trying to get that lead right now, and it's going to come up just short. Same with the 43 on the inside. He's going to go way back as Ricky Harden will get that position here.
Looking through, we haven't seen, you know, that the group of drivers who struggled right out of the gate last time. I feel like everybody's got their feet underneath them a little bit better. A couple of sets of 2x2, just single filing things out up front. But Christian Peterson, somebody you had to expect that was going to be coming through the field, started way back in 17th position, and he's up right now, running in P4. Just now completed a pass out of Matthew Tucker on the outside of the racetrack. So impressive move by the 23 to be able to get it done inside and out, and his charge to the front, it's already got him into the top 5 less than 15 laps into this race.
Yeah, we've always talked about how he's been able to do that just about any car this season, and so this will be the first time we've seen him in this season do just that, and that's get to the front and see if he can contend for a win after starting deep in the field. And I'm certain he can do it. It's one of those things where he's actually going to have to contend with some drivers who have done this for quite some time, been in this series and done these races for a long while now. Yeah, this is his first race in these cars, so mightily impressive, but not something that you wouldn't expect from someone like him. So the next 3 drivers, I'd say, are going to be the cream of the crop when it comes to this series, and so have a lot of fun to do it. And he's got a long time to do it, still more than 30 laps left, and same with these first 3 guys. They still have a long time before the end of this race is over, and fighting hard would be normal right here because you'd only typically have 3 laps to go, but you have 30 laps to go, a little bit more than that, and it's going to be a kind of topic for all 3 races. It's just patience that they don't normally have in these series because of their past durations.
And it's going to be very different later on in the night, obviously, when we get to the limited late models, because that's not a setup that we've seen this year yet. But for the super trucks, 100 laps later, it's only 25 more laps, you know, than the 75-lap super truck features we've seen so far this year. So I do think, though, that little bit extra, and especially in these mini stocks going for the 50 laps, is going to be something that these drivers have to deal with, because after 19 weeks of racing, you kind of got things in a little bit of a rhythm. If you qualify good, you know how hard you can push it and balance out the gap to you and the guys behind you to be able to have some tires come the end of this race so you don't fall off. So right now, race leader Tommy Rahn has led all the way from pole. We're working lap 20. Give it another 10-15 laps. That's when we enter that uncharted territory, and then we'll see if somebody like Christian Peterson is still going to have tires on that car, because he is hustling through the field, and he's caught this top 3 group up front. Going to make it a battle for 3rd shortly here, as that 15 Ricky Harden can feel the pressure from behind, and he's himself trying to make a move for 2nd on Wilkinson as the 42 gets bigger in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and Peterson had kind of pushed off or just laid off for a little bit, I'd say, and then absolutely started reeling these guys in. He was faster than all 3 of these guys in front of him by 1/10 of a second that last time by, and so he's going to now be on the back bumper of Ricky Harden. Harden can't make a mistake, so this does one of 2 things. This puts the pressure on him to maybe fight Wilkinson hard. Know that there is a feud between the 23 and the 26 that's been going on good part of the season, so that might be part of it, but he's also going to try and get him himself as he puts the inside nose on him, and he's going to go down to the very bottom of the track. He's going to try and get that position right here, right now. He should be able to do it. He's still side by side for position on the back straightaway, but there should be a pass for him as we're close to halfway, and he'll get right in front of him out of turn number 3 and out of 4.
The 15's going to challenge him back, but I think even Ricky Harden knows he doesn't have the speed at the moment to contend with Christian Peterson. So you saw I just gave him a little bit of a push down the stretch, and he will tuck back in line as that freight train continues, now plus 14 spots. Start of this race, and if you're Tommy Rahn and Brandon Wilkinson, those laps are not going down soon enough. Halfway home the next time by for Myrtle Beach Speedway, as we now take lap number 25 of 50, and just incredible how the 23 car is able to keep this kind of a pace when I don't think Tommy Rahn, Brandon Wilkinson are slacking at all. They haven't been any more than 2-3 tenths of a second apart from each other, so they've definitely been kind of forcing one another to keep up the pace, and they've been keeping each other awake. But the 23 really off the quarter, just such a big run, and that sets him up right here to the inside of the racetrack so beautifully, headed into the corner. And when Christian Peterson's got the preferred lane, he's going to be a tough ticket to hold off. Wilkinson, though, holding his own that time, but a 2 and a nice defensive run, but in doing so, lost a little bit of time to Ryan up front.
Yeah, but I think they have well than enough time to be able to do something about it. They've got halfway, they went over the halfway point of this race already, and so Peterson's going to have to find a way to get around the 26 at Wilkinson. It isn't going to be an easy pass, just because of how they've raced each other the last few weeks. I'm sure Peterson's going to get really close to him right there in the entrance of 3. Going to try and dive it off 4. I think this will be a good... Oh, caution's going to come out here on the field. I don't know where it is. Looks like perhaps Tyler Steven came down pit road after the fact or before the fact. Like he had to spin down. The 4 was involved as well. Oh, wow. He crushed the barrels or the... I don't know. Oh, the tires coming into pit road.
That's about the worst place you can hit anything, and he wasn't really where all this started. It was Randy Oakham who just got into the fence, and we've seen the fence here at Myrtle Beach literally suck drivers into it all season long, and just at that same time, Steven was tucking in line, and you can see him obviously not sure if there's any rear axle left in that car as he smacked it into those tires on the entry to the pit road wall. And he's got quite the little bit of a skewed up angle as he limps down pit road trying to get that car fixed up. For all intended purpose, though, I'm sure that basically ends his night at just that. And we go back into caution to fly conditions, which I don't think is going to change a whole lot. We had Ron Wilkinson and Peterson Arden all going at it. The side-by-side, though, could be the biggest factor here because Peterson Coop going to end up inside of row 2. Has a good opportunity to get Wilkinson right off of the race start, depending on how good that 26 gets out of the gate.
Yeah, so as you start looking back behind pace car, that's Gabe Wood in that pace car, by the way. So he's letting these guys with 1 lap to go, so you're going to see them get double filed behind Mr. Wood here. And yeah, everyone's going to get bunched up once more. You could almost say that this is a 2-part race, and we're going to enter stage 2 right now with 20 laps to go. With worn down tires, it's kind of like what they would normally do.
So pace car going to go back in, and we get set to do it once more. Is it going to be a long run to the end of the race here in this one, or do we see a couple of yellows, breeding yellows late in this one? Tommy Ryan has the opportunity to restart this one to the restart box. He gets a good jump, and it's exactly what we were watching for. Wilkinson a little bit behind the 8 ball. Here comes Peterson to the inside. The fight's going to be for P2.
Watch Christian Peterson and the 26 here fight side by side here on the back straightaway. Which one of these drivers will edge out ahead here? You know, I have the feeling that Brandon Wilkinson should have a good advantage on the outside. He's going to get the momentum, and here comes the 15 of Ricky Harden coming back in the picture. Ricky may have saved his tires a little bit more by not fighting here, but here's where Peterson starts to have a small advantage out of 2. They're still side by side. This is a good fight right here as they're basically no issue. Peterson walks up the track and runs into him just a little bit. Here comes Ricky Harden to mix it up, trying to go 3 wide here to their number 4. I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, he's going to roll it into corner number 2 or corner number 1. And oh man, he was just so close to him. But that opened up the gap between Christian Peterson and the 26. But here he comes. Here comes Wilkinson on the outside.
Might have been one of the best opportunities, though, that Harden was going to have all race. Peterson definitely being slowed down by the charge that the 26 machine is holding up. But outside of the racetrack, Tommy Ryan is nearly half a second out in front. Not a whole lot at a racetrack like Myrtle Beach Speedway, but I think that's the biggest gap between first and second we've seen all night, and I don't see Wilkinson letting it go anytime soon. I don't think Peterson meant to get up into his door, but as soon as those two started rubbing on each other, Wilkinson decided at that point he is not going to lay down.
Yeah, and watching the steering wheels for these drivers is really fun. As soon as you see them go into the corner, you actually see a lot of these guys completely counter steering, especially those on the inside. So even if you look back towards Matthew Tucker and James Garhula, you can see these guys counter steering, like, and as if they were on dirt. So it's really fun to watch these drivers have to really wheel it into these corners. So you can definitely see them getting in the corner with basically the nose heavy and the rear end starting to kick out just a little bit. And this is always fun to watch. But yeah, biggest lead I think we've seen here tonight. As Harden's getting into the picture as well, you can see him get really close to the 26 of Wilkinson. Ryan's about 7/10 in front now, so big lead by him as they continue to go side by side. Actually, they're going to see it single file behind him, and now looks like the battle going to be for the 6th position behind them.
And that's Tucker right in the middle of that, the 43 car trying to get up to Jody Green, but also has to keep in mind he's under attack by the likes of James Krahula, who's gone a little bit backwards from the start of this race. Krahula down 3 in 7th position, so he's obviously trying to recuperate some of those lost spots behind him. You got Will Javicki, the 30, with the battle scars and all. He's under fire from the 35 of Josh King, who hasn't had a necessarily spotless race either. The first fight, though, is going to come in the fight for 6th and 7th. Krahula to the inside, can't make it stick. As the longer we get into this race, that outside becoming a little bit more of a viable option as we get more rubber on track. Still loose, though. You saw the 43 get sideways. Good catch by Tucker, still in 6th.
Yeah, with the race going longer, it's just making these cars looser, and you're going to have to try and find an advantage somewhere, and the outside's pretty much one of the best places to be because you don't have to steer as much. Oh, Peterson on the outside wall here on the front straightaway, and he's going to try and dive it down to the bottom as soon as he does that, but it's not going to help him out much. He's going to be stuck in 4th, I think, at the moment. Almost runs into the outside wall right there as well as running on board with Christian right now, and that P-Money Designs Mazda here on the front straightaway, and everyone behind him single file, everyone in front of him single file. Now where's the move going to happen with these drivers? When are they going to start being able to get towards the front? Well, we're under 10 laps to go. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if Tommy Ryan's going to be beat tonight.
So far, so good through 41 laps, and Will Wilkinson was able to hold off Peterson, and I think that gap grew to, I think, 7/10 of a second at its largest. It's still at 0.688 last time, 0.639. So Wilkinson slowly chipping away, but you're going to have to get at least 1/10 of a second to be able to get there in time. Only 8 laps left to go, this time by the start-finish line. I don't know if Wilkinson's got that much more left in him. I think he burnt up a lot of what he had holding off Peterson in that very spirited battle for second.
Oh yeah, and it's something you don't see very often is Peterson having to struggle as the 13's going in the inside of him here. Remember, he has damage too on that right side. That's probably affecting him quite a bit too, but these guys are not going to let this moment down. They're going to relish getting by Christian Peterson here if they can. Green going to the inside, trying to make it happen. Green hits the inside wall, and Christian Peterson has a flood of drivers trying to get around him right now, and like we were just saying, this is uncharacteristic of him, but he does have damage, does have some worn out tires. But oh, the 43 is going to touch him, and then oh, 3 wide behind him. Oh, he's going to nab the 30. Wow, how do they not wreck? And how did the 43 not just take out the 8 there on the back straightaway? And 3 wide, Peterson on the top side. He's got nothing for these guys.
More 3 wide going on, but Peterson finds himself on the flip side of a coin that he is normally on the opposite side of, and to be honest, for most of this race that was charging through the field. All of these cars that he's fighting against started in front of him, and he passed him up, and now Peterson doesn't have much left. He slides to P8. That, I think, is as low as it might get, although that 35 of Joshua King stays in front of him right now. It'll be a fall to P9 for Christian Peterson. Inside of 5 laps to go now for Myrtle Beach in a mini stock main event. The battle for the race lead at 4/10 of a second. This time by 4 laps to go. He's awfully close, but I think he's going to be frustratingly just short. We'll see. The 26 continues to dig. That lap alone got the interval he needed. He knocked 1/10 out of it.
Look at him use those bumps on the inside. He's taking he's taking every risk he can to try and catch Tommy Ryan. He was just right there on the rumbles, and Ryan's making some mistakes. He's getting that car sideways. You're watching some battling back in the pack there. That's going to be the 43 trying to get into the rear, but that's also James Krahula trying to pass up Will Javicki on the inside. Javicki's going to have a good advantage here, or Javicki's going to have the advantage on the outside while the 8 of Krahula. Remember, those two were in a wreck earlier on, and they're still fighting at it, so it's good to see that no harm, no foul for those two, as the 8 gets a little loose in the bottom, and the 43 is going to roll to the top side to try and pass, but he's going to hit the outside wall. That's going to be it for him.
Battle for the race lead is on as we continue to monitor all of the fights going on throughout the field. Brandon Wilkinson is only a car length off of Tommy Ryan and is going to get 1 lap left to go this time through. He hugs that inside wall all the way through the corner. He's going to have to be able to make up a car length to get to Tommy Ryan. He'd have to get at least 2.5 to pass him. Hard drive to the inside, all the way down to the curbs. Ryan shuts the door, and Wilkinson is going to be at a 2-car length disadvantage down the back straightaway. How hard do you drive it into turn number 3? He'll look to the inside, but Brandon Wilkinson realizes that it is a lost cause, and Tommy Ryan goes start to finish winner in the mini stocks.
He had the chance, and I think he should have tried it in 3 and 4, to be honest with you. But with those rumbles, sometimes you think that you can get a huge advantage, which he did. Just whenever Ryan shut the door, he was either going to have to run into him and end his race, or he was going to have to he's going to have to back off. For him, he chose the right decision, I'd say, and backed off. And then the hand he was dealt was being 2 car lengths off, and just he could not drive that car in there at that speed that late in the race. So he did a good job, and I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, I think he may have led every single lap. Yeah, he led every single lap tonight. Wasn't uncontested for it, though, so that was a really good race for him.
And I think that Wilkinson, as you said, I think he made the right move, because when we saw him trying to catch up, and you even noted it, he was going down to those curbs when we saw the incident that happened in 3 and 4. There's really nowhere you can throw it in at that end of the racetrack. I think he was favoring 1 and 2, made that move, and as soon as he wasn't able to get to him there, I think by turn number 2 he realized he wasn't going to be able to get it.
Yeah, that was I think a good decision by him in the latter half of that turn. But also have to get a lot of credit to Ricky Harden for fighting back at Christian Peterson, and the rest of the field did too. I think that was a really good moment for them to finally get by someone that is kind of, for lack of a better way to say it, stomped the field all season. And like I said, he had not raced with these cars yet, so when he started over driving the car, and it kind of got back to him, and then with the damage, you see what happens there.
Well, let's take a look at how everybody finished. There was a lot going on at the end. Tommy Ryan, the battle we watched, is your race winner in tonight's mini stock 50-lap main event. Brandon Wilkinson second, 2/10 off when it was all said and done. Ricky Harden kind of missed out on all of the fun late, all on his own. In 3rd position to end this one, Jody Green comes home in the number 4 spot with Will Javicki in 5th. James Krahula finishes 6th spot tonight. Joshua King is 7th. Matthew Tucker falls to P8. Christian Peterson, at one point, looked like was going to take over the race lead in this one, 9th position. Over 5 seconds off of the top spot, Paul Henley rounds out your top 10.
Then finishing in the 6th position would be James Krahula. Oh, you said top 10, my bad. Randy Yoakum would finish in the... that's why I was hesitating for a while. Randy Yoakum will finish 11th. David Messier finishes 12th. Jeremy Watkins finishes in the 13th position, with Tyler Stevens 14th, and DJ Beverly would finish out the field, the last position, 15th tonight.
That's a complete look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Winner tonight in the mini stocks is Tommy Ryan. And we go down trackside to chat with the driver of the number 6 machine. Tommy, congratulations on this one. Pulled to checkers, seems like a pretty good night out, but they had a couple of guys make you sweat there. Christian had a good charge mid-race, and especially Brandon Wilkinson at the end got really close to you, 1 and 2 on the last lap.
Yeah, that last restart, man, when I saw them get side by side, I was like, man, I got to get my head down and freaking dig like crazy and put as much gap as I could. And I had about a second, and I just tried to hit my marks and, keep the thing pointed straight and not slide off too much speed. And man, Brandon was coming, and he was so much better than I was in the turn 1. I was trying to alter my line a little bit, and every time I did that, I got slower, and he really pulled back up on me there, and I just had to go back and kept doing what I was doing before, and freaking just dig, man. I thought he was going to give me the bumper there in 1. He didn't get quite close enough, but he raced me clean. He could have dumped me a couple of times, so that was good.
Obviously, a little bit of a longer distance in these mini stocks than what we had been seeing over the course of the season. Did you really feel like that played a factor in things late there when you're going on those extra 20, 15 laps in this race and somebody's, definitely pressuring you? Did you feel that car faded away a little bit, or was it relatively easy enough for you to compensate for that and kind of expect how that would be?
No, tire wear was definitely coming into play. when you get on the brakes on these cars, especially with this configuration, setup, weather, track, they get really loose on the braking. And if you buzz that right rear a little bit too much, you're going to pay for it off the corner. So you want a good drive off where you're not sliding the tires and scrubbing speed. So it's more like a momentum that deals. But the tire wear was definitely showing up there on the end of it. And the lighter the fuel, the ass end was getting a little bit lighter, and you had to be a little more finesse with it. And man, it's hard to do when you got somebody breathing down your neck. And I was shaking pretty good when I got out of the car on this one.
It was a fun race, and it was, I know those yellows mixed things up a little bit, but it was a fun run to the end, and congratulations to yourself for getting the win. I know we got a couple more coming up, but for you, obviously always fun to get a win in these mini stocks. I think it's a fun division, and you overall on the year 6-1. So congratulations to you on that, Tommy. As always, though, before we let you jet, the sponsors and the shout-outs. Who makes it happen?
Northern Tool and Equipment, Coastal Safety Auditors, DJ's sponsored me in a lot of stuff coming up. You'll see a lot of blue and white cars coming up next season. But Unacceptable Racing, got the best teammates on the net, man. It's great.
That car got a lot of airtime up front. Again, congratulations on the win, Tommy. We appreciate you chatting with us. Best of luck going forward.
Thanks, guys.
Race winner tonight, 1 down, still 2 to go. Tommy Ron is your winner in the mini stock division for week 20 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. So we'll step aside when we return. We've got 2 100-lap features still to come. The Super Trucks up next. You're watching LSRTV, your home for sim racing. We're back live from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, still under the sun here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I want to welcome you back to LSRTV's coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. We continue on with tonight's Myrtle Beach 251 checkered flag already handed out this evening. Tommy Ryan winning the 50-lap mini stock. That is the shortest race we will have on the evening because the Super Trucks are coming up next. 100 laps on board. These trucks, we have seen some longer races up in the 75s and such as of last week when we saw Christian Peterson take home another win in this division, a division to which in these Super Trucks he leads handily, having won 11 out of the 14 races he has started. He is way out in front as we come into tonight's race, and I think it's not a long shot to say that, well, the 23 Coupe didn't get it done last time. He's got a pretty good shot at this one.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can get 12 of the season, even though this one, I think is going to be, it's one of those races that we'll see. I think his signature style of having a car that's able to last all race matter, but like we talked about, this is even a longer race than he's expecting or than used to. So see if he's able to do it. See if we got any surprise victors here tonight, and see if Tommy Ryan maybe can go back to back in 2 different divisions. That'd be really fun to see if that'll happen. at any point, whether that happens in this race or the next race as well, as they are getting ready to grid behind the iRacing official pace car.
Looks like we're going to have about an average field, what we expect in these trucks. A little bit over about 15 or so, I think, might be the magic number in this Super Truck Made event. And let's introduce you to them. Top to bottom, we go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid. Pole position for this one goes to Scott Austin. His 05 Chevrolet will bring us to the green flag. He's accompanied on the front row by the 30 of Will Dravicki. Back on row number 2, third spot for Matthew Tucker, and P4 on the grid for the 00 with Gabe Wood. Jody Green in the 13 is fifth.
Starting in the 6th position would be Ricky Harden, and you've got James Verhula starting in 7th with Christian Peterson to his outside. Then DJ Beverly will start 9th, and Randy Jacob will start in the 10th position tonight.
Been on through 11th position to belong to Paul Henley. Joining him at row 6 in 12th is Joshua King. Jeremy Watkins, 13th spot tonight. Scott Attic is scheduled to roll off in 14th. Although that truck is not currently on the grid, is in the session, so we'll see if the 08's able to get trackside in time. If not, it'll just be Tommy Ryan at the back, scored in 15th position at the moment, as the field now rolls. So if Attic is going to make a start, he will have to make it from the pit stall, and he will not be with the field as we come to collect the green flag as of the next time around. Again, 100 laps due up in these super trucks, the biggest and the bulkiest of all of the cars that we see in this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. We've had some fantastic racing, and the win spread again would not make you think that. Only 3 drivers not named Christian Peterson have gotten wins. That's James Verhula, Tommy Ryan, Ricky Harden, all with 1 apiece. Christian Peterson has 11 wins in these trucks. That being said, should be a good fight, and if these drivers were making any statement in that first race, is that they are not going to let Peterson walk all over him tonight.
Yeah, we saw that earlier, and that was fun to watch. I think he knew that the challenge was on, and I don't think he had a car tonight, at least right now, in this race. He has a car to possibly do that with, and so all these guys are going to turn number 3. We'll see which one of these drivers will win this long 100-lap feature.
Race car down and in. Here we get set to rock and roll. 100 laps in a super truck race tonight for Myrtle Beach Speedway. Green flag in the air. Very good jump for the cars at the inside as pole sitter Scott Austin clear by the time we get down to turn number 1. Side by side still for second. Took Dravicki a little bit to get going. But the 30 machine has come to life, and he might even challenge for the race lead. Looked like he may have fallen as low as 3rd on the restart, but he's right back there side by side, and he'll actually lead lap number 1.
Wow, look at that outside. Just crazy good here at the beginning of this, and some guys are really checking up on the bottom, and that all the way trails to James Verhula on the bottom in 8th position. So yeah, that bottom side is not going anywhere right now, and that's going to be, I believe that's going to be Scott Austin, who's just not getting the traction he needs on the bottom side of the track. These guys are just running all over him on the outside lane, and these guys that were on the bottom, they've moved up, and they're going to try and get around him. And also, battle for the lead is going to be starting to get close here soon, as Gabe Wood made a shot for it. But we're going to have a caution out here. Turn number 1 or turn number 3, it's Matthew Tucker.
Yellow flag will fly. We are going to check things up, and we'll try it again. But Matthew Tucker's 43 is significantly shorter at both the front and the rear ends of that racetrack. He just got squeezed up a little bit by the 05, and the damage is okay on Scott Austin's entry. It is pretty significant on the right side. Obviously not what your pole sitter thought would be happening just 3 laps into this race. Again, especially considering just how good he got going the first time right out of quarter number 4. But an early yellow in the super trucks maybe calm things down a little bit.
Yeah, you know, the 43 wasn't out to the top like you think that they would. But at the same time, the 05 did come up just a little. You know, I think... well, basically, they had a lapse in a glitch in the system, as some would say, but nonetheless, 43 was coming down just a little bit, and the 03 was coming up just a little bit, and I just must have triggered something to happen. But nonetheless, we do have these guys behind the pace car, 1 to go this time by, and this is driven by Joe Burchett here tonight.
Just looking at, you know, what all this shakes up, because anytime you get contact in the center of the pack, aside from obviously the 2 drivers involved in this, you got people checking up, maybe losing a couple of positions. I think we're going to be okay. Really see any big shuffling up of the running order. I do think it's interesting that the drivers who started second, fourth, sixth, and eighth, now 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously indicative of the issues that we saw right off of the restart, 4 laps in, I guess I should say, for the folks back involved with your pole sitter, Scott Austin and Matthew Tucker. They fall back to 14th and 13th. It's Will Dravicki in front of the field now. Struggled in the first restart, but no problems here. The 30 is off and away.
Got to go when he wanted to and was able to get a great start, but Gabe Wood's not going to let him go away. That outside is strong on these restarts, and he won't be able to move up to the top. And the 0 of Gabe, he's actually going to be able to get the lead because Dravicki went too early on the restart. So Dravicki's going to have to give Gabe the lead if he can help it. But that is going to... Oh, wow. This is going to get it really interesting. 3 wide for this lead. Gabe Wood was basically given the lead right there off of a penalty with the 0-0. And then the 15 takes the lead. So there goes Ricky Hard into the lead.
Side by side is the first spot up there in 4th position. The 23 Christian Peterson should be able to get that spot. The 13 of Jody Green a little bit on the back foot this time coming into turn number 1. I don't think the outside's going to be as great of an option for these big trucks as they were in the mini stocks, at least this early on. And 13 was doing okay there, but you saw the bobble out of 2, and that's what really hurts those trucks up on the outside. So move Peterson into 4th. He's already halfway to the front. That inside line continues to be a pain spot for Jody Green because here comes the 8 of James Krahul on the inside as well. It is unacceptable racing buddy up top, but Jody Green can't find a spot in line.
Yeah, and Jody Green's going to catch the outside wall, and you can't do that here in the back straightaway. Sometimes it really gets you good. He got away with that one, I think, but he also was really seesawing it back and forth out of turn number 2, which is not good to hear on lap number 11 here tonight in these trucks. So he'll try and hopefully be able to get a hold of it, get that outside line going, which he does this time by. He'll be able to get a nose in front of the 8 of Krahula. Krahula didn't have a good race in the mini stocks, but coming back with vengeance here as he's trying to get 6th place away. And there goes Jody Green, almost looped it in around turn number 4. So he's going to have to give that position away to the 8 as the number 4 of Randy Yoakum with his big donkey on the front hood.
Just looking through, just trying to keep an update on everybody. You see the side-by-side action going on up front we're talking about with the 4 and the 13, and Green goes out on me for a moment, but obviously these guys try to continue to work through this race and get to the end. 100 laps a long way from home, and I think that early yellow maybe spooked people a little bit because even though we've seen 2, 3, 4 exchanges inside of the top 5, nobody's been leaning on each other. Now that we've gotten everybody single filed out for the first time, we did have the 6 and the 42 still fighting back. That one's for 9th, but I don't know if it spooked anybody or if they're just reminded that it's a very long race, but nobody wants a torn up race truck for 100 laps. And I think that the mindset, if it is that, is the right one, because again, you're going to have to get to that distance. And we heard it talking with your mini stock winner, Tommy Ryan. The issues on tires on just a 15 lap difference compared to what you're normally doing, going to be that much more amplified when we're talking about going twice the distance we normally see.
And speaking of Tommy Ryan, he's almost going to loop it here at turn number 2. He's in the outside wall, and he just completely lost the handling on that truck. Just absolutely had lost it, and basically he was going to lose it if the wall was there, and got lucky and was able to use it as a crutch. But he's going to go really far down the running order into 10th place right now, and he was way farther up, but he just completely lost the handling. So he's going to have to figure something out because he's got over 80 laps to go here with these cars. Is seeing the battle here between Will Dravicki and everyone else, and Dravicki had that restart under control, and then he had actually jumped it a little too early, so now he's got the 4 on the outside, and I think possibly that had set him back either mentally or something. He didn't hit anybody, he's still there, but I think since then he hasn't been as strong as he was before that restart and as soon as it started.
And obviously the big thing that hurts for Tommy Ryan is there was no caution flag and all of that, so he was able to keep going, but he's 5 seconds back in P10. Still a long way to go, I guess, if you want to make that up, but it would take, I think, a majority of the 82 laps are going to be left to go this time by to be able to do just that. So it's Hardin, Wood, Peterson, Krahula, and Yoakum. Single file, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at a racetrack right now, and but obviously, actually looks like everybody who started this race is on the lead lap, and to give kudos to the likes of Tucker and Austin, who obviously got really beat up in that incident for still being out here. But watch Gabe Wood. He's got a little bit of right side damage. You can see it by that scratch up by the name rail on the passenger side of that truck. I don't think it's affecting him at all, though, because he's bringing the heat to Harden. Looks like he wants to press for a challenge up front.
Yeah, he's basically running very similar times to the number 15 of Harden, and a king of the super trucks behind him, Christian Peterson. Believe me, he's going to have a hand in this fight before it's over, but you know, it's a long race, it's a long time to go. But Gabe Wood right now, he's having a good shot at going for this lead. You know, he's going to be a little bit faster on the corner exit for the 15, but one thing that I also heard Tommy Ryan say, and this goes with all the cars around the board with this track, is just keeping the wheels straight. And one thing that you've got to do if you want to conserve tires and be fast is do just that. And so Christian Peterson basically doing that, and just a little bit better than the guys in front of him at the moment, as he's running just consistently about a 10th or so faster than Gabe Wood and Ricky Harden. As Harden's running a little bit higher line, Gabe's running a little bit steeper of a shallower of a line. You're going to see the difference here with Christian Peterson going down to the very bottom. He's going to try and make that pass happen. Gabe Wood knows it's coming. He's going to take the outside with ease, and Peterson's going to take that bottom with ease. And that top side's typically better, but Christian Peterson dives it down to the bottom, and he should be able to get it here out of turn number 4. Gabe Wood's not going to down without a fight. Christian Peterson wiggles a little bit, wiggles a lot actually, and is able to get him right there.
It's another spot for the 23 of Peterson, and well, just as you thought it was going to be Gabe Wood making the charge, the 23, but she never is a step behind, and he's already up into the number 2 position, only quarter of the way through. We did see this same quick charge in the mini stock race. It hurt him late. Peterson made a smart move there. The 15 was a little bit slower coming out of 4. Could have gone side by side, waited, and now takes the time to set him up, and we'll go side by side for the race lead. Ricky Harden got up front pretty quickly for starting this race in P6. Missed an early accident, took over the race lead shortly thereafter on a restart, but it is not going to make it to lap 25 because that time by Peterson in front by half a truck.
Peterson out front leads the lap, and just like he's done all season in these trucks, is going to take it to the front with 11 wins on the season. It's pretty dang incredible for him to do. Now it's a surprise for him to take the lead and now start to try and drive away from these guys. And I think one thing he wants to do is try and get as far away as possible and see what kind of lead he can muster over these guys. As the 2 behind him, Gabe Wood and the 15 of Ricky Harden, they're going to fight for position and see what they can do. Is I think Gabe Wood gets over the radio. Not exactly sure what he said, but he's definitely either having some fun or trying to get the head of the 15. I think probably the first of the 2 is a Gabe Wood thing to do. But Gabe has some right front damage, some really good right front damage now. I don't know where that came from, but he's got some good damage now. He's actually going to get the pass executed over the 15 of Harden. And unsure if that had to do with anything earlier, but the 00 goes by and it's going to be able to start pushing the 15s in the outside wall just a little bit. And James Krahula, look at him in 4th position, wrecked out, well, didn't wreck out, but had a big accident in the last race we just had, and comes back in 4th right now for the time being.
Well, it just goes to show that Gabe Wood did have that speed to be able to get up and challenge Harden. Unfortunately for him, took it a little bit too long in doing so. Peterson leapfrogged both of them, and maybe Harden was the one who pushed a little bit too early in the number 3 design Chevy, because just like we've seen earlier on in this race, once one driver gets on you, it seems to open the floodgates. Krahula's there, the 8 car, the 4, Randy Oakham, just a 1 step behind as well. Then there's a significant gap from 5th to 6th, about a second and a half. From Yoakum back to Will Dravicki P6, but those 4th and 5th place trucks are going to be a thorn in the side of Ricky Harden for some time. And as we say that, Krahula to the inside almost gets him in 1 corner, but has been able to get down low. That's a big upper hand for the 8 in this fight. And way up the hill is Harden in 3 and 4 as he loses that battle.
Yeah, so the 15's going backwards and the 8's going forwards after he started in 7th position. So Ricky Harden's going to do 1 of 2 things, and he's going to lose another one here to the 4. This one kind of came to the surprise to me. Randy Oakham, look at him in 5th place, just keeping his nose clean and getting through this one. Yeah, the 15's got to do 1 thing only right now. It's to save his tires and just really try and be consistent. Otherwise, he's going to have a really, really long night. So he's going to, right now, stay solidified in 5th place. Still have himself the top 5 as he gets a little loose off that last corner. And Will Dravicki about 2.5 seconds behind him. he is going to have the rest of that field basically behind him. But they're having a good fight here coming out of turn number 4. Dravicki's being challenged by the number 13 of Jody Green, as we see another good battle in front of him, the 00 and the 8. Look at Krahula. Something's different about him in this race for sure. Is Krahula must have just been saving his tires a little bit more, but Krahula down to the bottom trying to get that position on Gabe Wood right here coming out of 4.
Battling continues on as Gabe Wood, it looks like he's got a bit more damage now, or we got the wall again, but now I'm seated on the fender of that truck, and Krahula gets through, slides up in front of him, so a little bit of a short track move there. Gabe Wood checked up, not wanting to get into him, and that actually is going to hurt him even more because the 4 used that as an opportunity to cross him up. So here comes Randy Yoakum. Started in 10th position and 3rd at the line. He'll get the spot to his own if he can get by Gabe Wood. So first it was Gabe Wood making the charge, and now it appears to be the 8 of Krahula and Yoakum making the charge. But through all of this, very quick to forget, Coop, 2 seconds is the gap that Christian Peterson has opened up. That's a significant jump.
Yeah, and I was saying that might be what Peterson's after, is to see how big of a lead he can get before the end of the night. Silver, as the battle for second still rages on. Randy Yoakum on the inside gets really loose there on the number 8 of James Krahula, and so also look for the 00 to strike back here on the inside of the 8. So, oh wow, a little bit loose on the 00 part right behind these guys. And, you know, it's really interesting. The 8 got by Gabe fairly easily earlier. Now Gabe's trying to get him back. It's not going to happen. And then Gabe's actually going to let the 15 by. So, Gabe giving courtesy to the drivers on the outside, knowing that it's probably not going to happen anyways. Only thing about that is he slammed on the brakes so hard. I think he lost so much time in comparison. He could have just let off the gas, but no, he slammed on those brakes. And so he's going to be a ways behind these guys now.
And sometimes you just want to do what you feel is safe, and it's very easy to, get into a situation where you probably could, wing it and hang on to it a little bit, but with this much time left to go to race, maybe figures that risk versus the reward is just simply not there, and just to check it up and give it another try, because keep in mind, this time by still got 60 laps to go in this Super Truck feature. They are a long way from home still to this point. But all the trucks who started this race are still scored on the lead lap. That's not going to be true for very long. Christian Peterson is now starting to run into some lap traffic. And with about 14, 15 trucks in this race, you're not going to hit a consistent amount like you would at a cup race at Bristol. There's not going to be lap car after lap car after lap car. But the back 3 trucks on the lead lap, Matthew Tucker, Jeremy Watkins, and Scott Austin, are all within a second and 0.2 of a second of each other. So once Peterson gets to one of them, he'll have to deal with all 3 of them. We'll see how much room they give him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as you're looking at the front bumper, or the front cam of Ricky Harden, and gosh, one of the biggest things to see tonight is just how far is Peterson going to get away, because he's over 3.25 seconds now faster, almost 3.5 of everybody else, and with the amount of time he has, he could catch a lot of the field. As he's got about 20 seconds of a jump in front of Scott Austin, 19 seconds in front of Matthews. And it won't be long before he's set. Actually, he's going to catch him right here. Him in the lap traffic. He's going to be on the outside of Scott Austin here. So no issue there. But this battle with these 3 cars, the 15, the 8, and 3, or the 4, we're going to be watching them for a while now, because really surprised to see Randy Yoakum up here. It's a good surprise because he's, well, this is one of our longer races, and this might be suiting him a lot better. Only thing is will it last the whole race? That's one of the biggest questions, is are these drivers going to be able to make it the whole race at this rate and make it to lap 100 and be able to be still secure in their trucks, because this is a long race for these trucks.
And the thing is, as well, is everybody showing us what they've got. I think Christian Peterson is calling his shot, and he's put everything he's got on the table. He's calling everybody else's bluff, and he's going for it. 3.7 seconds in front. But if you're in a group like this, Randy Yoakum and James Krahula, Ricky Harden, you're all back to back to back. Do you really push it all the way at lap 46? You see the 8 truck looking to the outside, or if you're somebody like Harden here, watching those 2 in front of you fight, do you sit back a little bit and just kind of wait, let them fight amongst each other, let them eat away at those tires, and then when we get to 30, 25, 20 laps to go, then you pick it up. You might not have an opportunity to win the race at that point, but would that be a viable solution for somebody who doesn't want to just be going side by side all race and completely taking them out of the conversation? Because the more hard you race somebody and the longer you keep doing that, the less you're going to be able to do when we start to count down towards the end of this race at 50 some odd laps.
Yeah, and an update on Gabe Wood. The 42 of DJ Beverly is getting on the inside of him, and that means that the 13 of Jody Green also got by him, and so that battle's happening right now, and it's basically going to be already completely resolved because DJ just got around him not too long ago. So Gabe Wood on the way back. Sadly, I think he must have burned his tires up quite a bit already here in the race, and he might be trying to save his tires as much as he can for a restart or something like that. And that's something else I was thinking about was these guys with the long duration, if a caution were to come out, it would be perfect for some of them if they could just save some tires, save tires on the track and not push the truck at all between now and when that possibly would occur. As we're hitting the halfway point now, and Christian Peterson's well over the mark, but that would be a good strategy, I'd say, but you have to really bank on someone having a big issue.
We so far have had a couple of small skirmishes here and there, but nothing I think that would classify as a really big issue. Obviously, we saw Scott Austin, Jerry Watkins get torn up, and those race trucks definitely got some damage, but the two-car wreck, not all that bad by short track standards. Obviously, the longer we go into this green flag run, the chances are that as we spread trucks out from one another, we're going to be able to stay green to the end of this race. So it is going to be a numbers game. Yes, you're out there racing against everybody as we again see Krahula try to go outside on Randy Yoakum. Yoakum slides up, shuts the door, and he ate Krahula pretty quickly to back off and just tuck back in line. But you're racing the clock at this point. I know that you're out there to race, but in these longer races, you just have to focus on what are the intervals that I want to hit at this point. How do I maintain consistent lap times lap after lap? And in a group like this, or even if you look a little bit further back to the trucks that are pretty beat up, you know, DJ Beverly in 6th, and a little bit further back, Gabe Wood just a couple of tenths in front of Joshua King on his back bumper. Even if you're not actively pressing somebody, just stay close enough to them so that if they make a mistake, you're there to pick up the pieces and get the spot the easy way.
Yeah, in this top 3 or the top 4, I guess we can exclude Christian Peterson from these guys now. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but being 5 seconds ahead of everyone will do that. But these guys, they're not really going easy on each other. Krahula wants to get by Randy Yoakum. It's definitely not easy for him to just sit idle, and he's going to be on the outside of the 4 here, whether he has the advantage with hit. Oh, wow, he squeezed him through the time just a little bit, and I think James Krahula just laid up just a little bit, but that goes with saying that that Randy Yoakum did slide to the corner a little bit more than he thought he was going to. And so Krahula, I think, actually has a faster truck at this point in the race, and just is not able to get around him quite yet, so he's going to try and dive into that car in just the right way. Sadly, he's not able to do it, but he's going to go down. Oh, man, he's going all the way to the bottom. He does not care about how good he arcs the truck in. He's going to go straight to the bottom and try and get it that way, and hopefully the Ford makes a mistake. Not going to happen. He makes a mistake, and so he's going to keep trying to the bottom. And I think he's going to keep trying it. Yeah, he just almost got in the 4 right there. He had to back off just a little bit, but Krahula is not wanting to sit idle right now.
No, he really wants to get up and go. He's tried up top, but you can still see he's a little timid, and Randy Yoakum's not, you know, completely shut the door on him, but he's making it so it'll be a tight dive in, and finally, Krahula gets some position, and we will go side by side for P2, this time as we complete lap number 58, but first he was looking high, then he was looking low, and Yoakum was doing just enough to deter the 8 machine, doing the absolute minimum amount of blocking that would make the 8 second against himself. Now that he is there, though, I think the gloves are off. These two are going to go at it side by side. So far, though, giving each other a fair amount of room. Looks like the 50 to Ricky Harden hedging his bets on the 4-car top side. He's been following Yoakum, and the 4 checked out real quick on him. That was almost bad.
Yeah, when you start looking at this fight, it's almost over with here as the 8's going to go by him, but it's not going to be over because the 4 is going to try and go back at him here. But this really pulls in Jody Green right here, who is over a few seconds back behind this pack. So Jody Green's going to be able to get a piece of this action right here. And oh, close between the 15 and the 4 right there. The 15 went to the outside, and oh, Oh man, that was close between those two, and Ricky Harden just had a good power slide through turn number 2, and so basically at this point we'd have a little bit under 15 laps to go for the 75 long feature, but it's actually 40 laps to go, a little under 40 laps to go here tonight with these drivers. So with that in mind, they still have a long way to go, and with Krahula getting past the 4, and it looks like he's starting to pull away just a little bit maybe. Gonna see which one of these drivers in this pack of 4 that's really gonna have the tires to make it to the end here. Jody Green's trying to make the pass on the number 15 and Ricky Harden. Harden's just keeping the high line, trying to keep him at bay.
Next driver to get lapped is going to be Tommy Ryan. That's not something that we would have expected ourselves to be talking about 63 laps to go to this point, but this melted pot of cars, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th is where the cameras are at the moment. Krahula, Yoakum, Harden, Green have all amassed in this one big pile. Just goes to show you, you get one fight on track, it slows you down that much. Christian Peterson now 6.5 seconds in front to the race lead, and that's how we've seen Harden and then Green, and I think shortly hereafter, DJ Beverly, 6th position. He is going to be in the conversation. He's got a clean race truck at 42. If he can get up there, he'll make some noise in this pack, and all you have to do is be there to be in the game. There's a big difference between finishing this race in 2nd position and finishing this race if you're at the back of the pack in 5th or 6th, and right now that difference is only a couple of tenths of a second.
Yeah, and the 15 of Ricky Harden just had a big, he almost made a bigger mistake right there. He got really loose on the front straightaway right in front of Jody Green. Jody Green, I think, has a truck to beat him right now. It just isn't able to make it happen right now, and he keeps trying, and it's just really close between those two as Jody goes into the corner pretty hot. And I think Jody needs to wait for another mistake out of the 15 and then really pounce on it, because he's lost a lot of time on those guys in front of him. I think he's faster than all 3 of the drivers in front of him. I think he's playing it nice for the time being, for him, but I don't think it's gonna be nice forever, because the clock is ticking between these guys, and 15 Ricky Harden might have to be a little faster than he is showing as well. As you said, maybe these guys are holding on to the cards that they've got that are good. And so maybe Ricky Harden's a little faster, but just had a really big issue with the truck. Got really sideways as he's starting to catch the 4 of Randy Yoakum right now.
And Yoakum in that 4 machine was the one who was being the pesky deterrent to James Krahula trying to make his way through the field. I don't expect he's going to let Harden get by any easier. And you see the 15 machine take a little bit of a lower line that time before, as the back end of that truck a little bit free as he tried to keep it off the wall. So I think now we're at the point where these guys are starting to slip and slide. Just look how tight all 4 of those trucks are up against the outside wall down the back straightaway. And as we say that, we have a caution, lap number 68, and find the problem. Big issues with DJ Beverly, the 42, absolutely destroyed.
Oh my goodness, yeah, he went straight into the inside wall off of turn number 2. Actually, that started in a slide in 2. We're going to see the replay here, and he goes in the corner and slides up into the 35 checks up, and you can see already just the right side's already starting to go, and it just went, and there was no stopping that truck. It just went straight into the inside wall, and I have to believe that he did not get on the brakes, and he actually kept flooring it, but because of how upset he might have been. But he absolutely crushed the inside wall. That's probably the hardest hit we've seen all season on these Wednesday nights. I mean, we've seen cars go in the air, but that was probably the hardest hit we've seen.
Yeah, and there was no contact for the 35. I mean, for King, he just had a front row seat of it, but I think DJ Beverly was definitely frustrated, because I was talking about how he and P6 was going to close in soon. He had a clean race truck, but he smacked the wall a couple of times in those last few laps, had dropped back. That's why he was running around the lap truck there behind him, and I think at that point, you get sideways again, and you can see that the folks in front of you are running away 7-8 seconds, and bit of frustration in that one. I think he was going to spit out and hit the wall regardless, but I think got upset there, and unfortunately that's probably going to end his night, I would imagine. He's on pit road, so he was going to be able to get it fixed. He is still inside of that truck, so if he gets back out there, I'll give him kudos for that, for sticking around in it. But his night of being a competitive race truck is done, and I think the biggest thing we get out of this yellow is the battle for the race lead, maybe off for the restart, because Christian Peterson's 7-second gap has been completely evaporated.
Yeah, and I think Christian really wanted to wanted just to impress tonight and see what kind of lady he would be able to get at the end of the evening. And 7 seconds is really impressive as we get the 1 to go signal from the tower. But I think if he's still able to get in front of these guys, it's still impressive. But these guys will have a shot at him. James Krahula, Randy Yoakum, Ricky Hardin, Jody Green, your top 5. And it's anyone's game, anyone's race at this point. So let the game begin with about 26 laps to go.
This car down and in. Is this going to be the restart to end them all? 73 down, 27 to go. Peterson, picture perfect out of the gate. The 23, can he control the restart? He got the jump. And he's got about a car length and a half gap over James Krahula, who's going to quickly slot up into the number 2 position, leaving the fight between Hardin and Yoakum behind him as Peterson's already stretching him out. 4 truck lengths on the entry to 3. Good entry by Krahula, but it's going to hurt him off. And Peterson checking out just like that. So good.
Yeah, and you see him get really high in turn 3 and 4, but that's definitely by design. He goes really high in the corners and is just able to power off with no repercussions of going that high in the corner. So really fun to see him do that as you're seeing the 4 of Jody Green, or the 13 of Jody Green and the 4 of Randy Yoakum do battle. And the 13's going to get him just based off the restart. The 4's been really fast tonight and just has not been able to hold these guys up on the restart. And believe that Jody Green's just slightly faster than everyone in front of him, so I think he'll at least catch these guys. I don't know if he'll be able to pass them. Less than 25 laps to go.
Inside of 25 laps to go, you have to feel like these drivers think this may have been their last best opportunity, so I don't think we're going to see any of that timidness like we saw in that last run. If somebody isn't going to give you a full lane, probably going to make them. And that 8 machine of James Krahula, we know he's not going to be shy in the number 2 position. He was a little bit timid, working his way past and into P2 earlier. I think that he's not willing to give it up. And if you're going to be realistic with yourself, that time by, dead even lap times to the 1/1000th of a second between Peterson and Krahula. I just don't see the speed out of anybody besides the 23 to win this race. Now, Peterson makes a small mistake. You break this thing wide open, but the only thing I thought the rest of the field could really bank on was that Peterson was just over-driving it too early, and he really struggled late, like we saw in the mini stocks, but doesn't appear to be happening now.
Yeah, that's very true. And something I'm also starting to see is that the 35 of Joshua King, after that caution, he's kind of back in the thick of it. He was really far back, and so he's getting really close to the forge. Looking at out of the back of the number 13 of Jody Green, who's really making things happen, and he's gonna try and get one more before the night's over. He's gonna have 20 laps to do it. So you're looking out from Joshua King's front windshield, and really, there's a lot of action happening in front of him, and like we talked about with these long races, not as not as action-packed each and every single lap, but across the board, it's still close racing overall. And these guys basically trying to do some managing as well as hard racing. As the 35 gets in the outside wall just a little bit, and Randy Yoakum got really loose off of turn number 2. So those two doing having a good fight right here, as they're a little bit off the pace right now from the leader, but nonetheless having a fun fight here.
And, that's part of it. You have to take it as it comes and be realistic with the situations that you find yourself in. And 31.5 seconds out to the front. But Jody Green, impressive run late. In these super trucks, Jody Green, 5 top 5s on the year. Puts him up in the upper echelons of the folks who have been competing in these trucks for a better part of the season. Still without a win, though. There's a lot of, high-value drivers, big-ticket names that we talk about a lot that have not been able to break through and win in these super trucks. Highest in the points, Matthew Tucker. He's already out of this race. It'll have to end the year without a win in the super trucks, a division in which he saw 11 top 10s in. Gabe Woods, somebody else, has had a rough go. He's out of the night. So it just seems like if you haven't had luck in these trucks this year, you're not having a lot of luck tonight, and it's just an awful feeling to always be on the other end of all of those kinds of incidents.
Yeah, and with that being said, I'm looking forward to seeing what the number 13 of Jody Green has, because Green has absolutely used this caution period and restart to his advantage. And so with 15 laps to go, he's almost going to be, or he's actually right on the door of the 8 here, right in the back door, or right back bumper, and trying to make something happen here before this race is over. He's got 15 laps, and so he's going to push to the inside just a little bit. Remember, I said he had faster speed. I didn't know if he's going to be able to do anything. Well, that was before the caution. Now that we've had that period, he's been able to get by Randy Yoakum. He's been able to get by Ricky Harden. Now he's going to have to get by James Krahula, who is kind of the head horseman of that small group. And so if he gets by him, you can at least try and go for Christian Peterson, who's 2.1 seconds ahead. Probably not going to happen unless another caution happens, but Green is in an absolutely good position to make it happen. He's going to stay to the inside right here off of turn number 4. I don't think he's going to be able to get him here for a few more laps. I think he's got to muster up some more speed before he makes the pass attempt, but at least he's showing the 8. He is there, and he is going to go for that pass.
And when does it come? We talked about when was the right time to make the move at the end of that mini stock race. The challenge came from Wilkinson in 1 and 2. Put him a little bit shy by the time he got the 3 and 4. It's now the time to go for Jody Green. The inside's open to keep it as there. If you get the pass on Krahula now, though, keep it in mind, he's going to have about 10 laps to try to make the move back on you. The 13, though, is going to go for it. We go side by side for second. Green a little bit of a bobble there, stepped it up the hill a little bit, not too big of a problem. So the 13 is going for it. Jody Green, James Krahula, side by side for the runner-up spot.
Yeah, and you know that Jody Green is going to be able to almost clear him. The 8's going to have a good advantage on the top side, but you know, we talk about this dynamic track. It's really doing a lot for these guys here, as the top side's not exactly the place to be as we thought it would be earlier on. But hey, the 8's coming back just a little bit strong on the outside, so still side by side with 13 still having an advantage. I think this really plays into the tires here, but Jody Green going way up the track, trying to cut off maybe an advantage that the 8 would have, and gets a good drive off, so he's going to be able to clear him there. I think that was a really smart move by Jody. Notice the 8 went up the high up the track to get an advantage, so he went up the track to do the same, and is able to really get a hold of that. So Christian Peterson still in turns 1 and 2 right now, as Jody Green is just now getting to the middle of that. So that just shows you the difference. By the time I say it, he's already gone away. But yeah, less than 10 laps to go, and basically all battles have kind of ceased at this point, just waiting for Christian Peterson to cycle around. As yeah, basically all these drivers now single file, and I think everyone's pretty much expired their chance to get another position, or really just hanging on for dear life on what they've got the trucks. I guess Joshua King's still trying to find the number 4 of Randy Yoakum here, but I think that these guys have pretty much spent their trucks. Oh, Joshua King, he almost got to the floor right there. Basically almost dumped him.
Well, that's what you gotta expect later in the race. These guys are gonna amp it up a notch, and if you don't have the positioning, if you just make the positioning a little bit to help yourself out, I do feel like, aside from, you know, Jody Green, who's been able to work around to James Krahula late in this going, that Christian Peterson couldn't care if this was a 50, a 75, or a 100-lap race, just been waiting for this one to get done. The 23 has just been so strong, and we talked about this a lot last week when we saw the Super Trucks, and Christian Peterson won in a 75-lap Super Truck feature just a week ago. The 11th win for him in this division. There are 2 different drivers in 2 different divisions of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series that have 11 wins in a single division. That's Christian Peterson with 11 in the Super Trucks, and Matt Conker with 11 in the Chargers division. The 23 Christian Peterson could get that outright number 1 spot in what has been honest a domination, top to bottom all year in these trucks, if he can hang on for just a handful more laps as we take lap number 97.
Now I'm starting to think about just how much of a lead he has. Oh, the Joshua King does take the 4 out. He does dump him, and the 4 is going to go around. And they keep on wrecking, but no caution's going to come out. But yeah, Randy Yoakum just got dumped for position, and so no caution's going to come out for that, as Peterson's going to continue to run around the field. But yeah, Joshua King was going for it for a few laps. Saw it happening in the making.
See if any other balls drop late in this one, or if this is going to be it, the battle for second, and do anything else that may shake things up in this. But I'm looking at the intervals, and minus a big mistake late. You know, you're getting tired late in this run. The truck is just trying to limp her home, but final time, this time at 4, going to come to the white flag for Christian Peterson. Started at 8th position. We've seen plenty of good fights for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But I don't think for much of this one there was any question as Christian Peterson, look at the gap out the back end. The next truck start-finish line. He's already coming through turn number 2 and to the back straight away. And I think a little bit of redemption as well for that mini stock race, one that he had the speed but wasn't able to put it together. A convincing one as Christian Peterson, final tongue of the line, your winner in tonight's Super Truck main event.
Did a great job all night long, all season long, and I think this one's kind of icing on the cake for him. Just another dominating race, and I'll tell you that whenever it comes to him doing so well, it's just the finesse he has behind the wheel. And I mean, if you watch him versus anyone else, he's not doing a terrible amount different, but one of the biggest things he is doing different is he is keeping that wheel typically more on handle and not moving it as much. And that's just such a big thing and such a hard thing to do in the sim, is to keep that wheel straight because of how the tire model works and how the tire buildup and the heat works. So as he's going to probably drift around the Speedway, we'll go through the full field rundown here.
Yeah, the burnout all the way around the racetrack, kept it off the wall that time to 2. Christian Peterson having some fun and celebrating his win here tonight. Let's take a look at where everybody came home after 100 laps. Actually, 101 laps now as Peterson gets another one in and spins her out on the front straightaway, parking it in victory lane. Christian Peterson is your race winner, 12th time this year. He's in Super Trucks victory lane, and great efforts throughout. Jody Green to jump up to second. James Krahula falls to third at the very end there off of the final restart. Ricky Harden in fourth, and Scott Austin rounding out your top 5 as they ran. Final truck on the lead lap is going to be Joshua King in 6th position. Everybody else 1 lap down for Jeremy Watkins, 7th, and Paul Henley in 8th spot. 3 laps down for Randy Okabadai. Tommy Ryan is 4 laps down in 10th, and that'll round out the active trucks at the end of it all.
Yeah, then finishing 11th would be DJ Beverly after having that massive crash. Woodrow Vicky would finish in the 12th position. Gabe Wood would retire for 13th, and then Matthew Tucker would finish in the 14th position tonight.
So that's a complete look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Step downstairs and get a word with Mr. Christian Peterson. 12th time this year we've had this arrangement. Super Truck victory lane for the drive of the 23. Christian, congratulations on this one. Thought that maybe after how we saw that little bit of a longer race play a factor with the mini stocks, that there might have been a little bit of a question mark up in the air on this one. And even with that yellow flag at 30 laps to go, you guys were still by far and large best truck on track tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely we made some tweaks to our setup to make it for the daytime. I think we only had like 1 or 2 day races throughout the whole season, so none of them were definitely near 100 laps. So we just made a few tweaks, and Javicki and I were talking throughout the week, and we were both getting really excited for this race and all that. And we were I don't know, at the start of the season, like back 20 weeks ago or whatever. This was on the calendar for one of the ones I wanted to win, but wasn't expecting to do all I did in this series, in this division. But I'm really happy we did, and yeah, I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. This truck's a lot of fun.
Were you concerned at all with the 100-lap distance? I know that you guys are able to obviously adapt and change to these things rather easily, but 11 of these 12 wins come from significantly shorter races. Just 75 laps just a week ago. Not that big of a change, but definitely 100 laps. We saw everybody slipping and sliding late, and that's on top of the slipping and sliding that we're used to seeing. So what, if anything, that you changed coming into this one, considering the little bit of extra distance this week?
I just changed tire pressures, like some track bar. I left the basic setup alone, like springs and everything, and roll bar. I might have adjusted the roll bar just a touch, but mostly just tires and track bar just to get it tightened up and in the track for the greasiness and like.
Obviously, we still have got one race coming up here, which should be fun in the limited late models, and I know we'll be back next week, but this round things out for the Super Truck Championship, something that I know you guys have been pretty comfortable with for quite some time, so we'll let you take off, Christian. I know we borrow a lot of your time with these, but as always, the sponsors, the shout-outs, the folks behind the scenes who powers that truck out there week by week.
Just everybody at Sear. We picked up a couple guys new for the upcoming seasons here at CEA, so we're looking forward to having those guys there. Gotta thank Scott Austin at Austin Designs. He made the truck looked pretty sitting in victory lane. So thanks to him. And yeah, just everybody else that shows up, and everybody at LSRTV and Kyle for doing what he does every week.
We appreciate your time, Christian. Again, congratulations on the win, and best of luck going forward here. Still a couple of checkered flags left up for grabs.
All right, thanks, Evan.
Race winner tonight in the Super Trucks. We say that often to Christian Peterson, joining us down trackside at Victory Lane. His 12th Super Truck win of the year. Longest Super Truck race we've seen to this point with 100 laps, and he handles it with ease. 2 down, 1 to go, though, and this one may be the wild card race of the night. The limited late model is going to be on track. We'll tell you about them, and we'll race them for 100 laps when we come back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway. You're watching the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association at LSRTV and iRacing Live. This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV, and it may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. And back live from the Myrtle Beach Speedway as we head into our limited late model division as we close out tonight's Myrtle Beach 250, part of LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Still happy that you're hanging out with us on a Wednesday night. Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop up top with our producer Cisco Scaramusa downstairs. And they are the late models, yes, but Coop, these are not the late models that we've been racing for a good part of the year.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a different side of 2 of them. I haven't completely read up on them quite yet, but we're going to expect a lot of new things tonight that are going to be definitely changing the game of this one by a lot.
But let's let you know what these limited late models are going to be look like. Well, the format of tonight's race, they're made to simulate what you'll actually see if you head out to the Myrtle Beach Speedway and catch the Myrtle Beach 250. It's open to the CEA Series and the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series late stocks non-winners. So non-winners in our late model stock, which is the late models that we're used to seeing. That's who's going to be in this race. You also have to have it already below 3,500 if you're not a part of the regular series to be able to compete in this one. And the way that they're mixing it up is they've added 250 pounds and there's a higher gear. So that's going to simulate the smaller motor like you'll see in a limited late model division. And of course, another thing that kind of fits in with all of the CEA stuff is that we're only going to have manual cautions, but there will be no cone restarts, which is going to be a little bit different from some of the other series that we've been seeing. So kind of like the Chargers division where we take a late model, we mix it up a little bit. That's what we're doing here tonight with the limited late models to try to imitate what a real-world limited late model division run would be like with the cars we have on the service.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite exciting tonight to see everything, to see everything go down. You know, we're gonna see a new winner tonight. That's going to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that'll be exciting to see. So at the end of the night, we're gonna see somebody very happy in victory lane in these cars, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this another long race, about 100 laps for these guys, and once again, we'll be up here watching everything happen as we'll be going to the grid.
As we get in here, we'll take an opportunity to go down trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for this one. And roundabout top to bottom pole position, going to go to Tyler Jordan, who will bring us to the green flag, accompanied by Gabe Wood, who will roll off in the number 2 spot. Back on row number 2 for the starting lineup in this one. Again, 100 laps, a long way to go. Qualifying up front, always a good idea to get yourself into a best position, I guess, as possible, and also stay out of the chaos that goes on mid-pack, just like we saw with that early yellow flag in the Super Truck division. Want to be able to be up as close to the front of the field as you can, and the guys in the front row, best position for all of that. But Gabe Wood and Tyler Jordan at the front of all of it.
Yeah, then you've got Todd Guerin in 6th place. Starting in the 7th position is going to be Tyler Stevens. James Crahula starts 8th. Jody Green will start 9th. And then you've got Matthew Murphy. He is going to start in the 10th position tonight. Still rolling out for the rest of the field. You've got David Messier. He'll start in the 11th position with DJ Beverly starting 12th. Sean Cross starts 13th. Randy Oakham will start in the 14th with Jeremy Watkins 15th. And on his outside with Christian Murphy with Joshua King 17th. Scott Addock starting in the 18th position with Rory Blum and Will Dravicki, making this a nice round 20-car field tonight.
It'll be 10 rows side by side all the way to the back, but Tyler Jordan is going to be the name that starts it all out up front in that number 29 machine. And again, the race cars that you're seeing on track right now may look familiar. We've raced these late models in our Chargers division. We've raced them in our late model stocks. But another different setup on board tonight as we race for the first time with this setup in the limited late models here with the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Same distance as the last one out, going to be 100 laps on tap. This is the final race of week 20 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Pace car out at infield, going to be in the hands of number 29 of Tyler Jordan. We'll see what this race brings us in store. It's the first race we can say that we don't know what's going to happen because it's the first time they've been on track. Green flag in the air, and Gabe Wood keeps your race leader honest to turn 1 as Tyler Jordan on the inside and that 00 up top.
Yeah, Gabe Wood should have a good advantage here going into turn number 3 here as all the drivers behind him real hungry already. Already some beating and banging here for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th position. The 15 already got into the driver in front of him, Paul Henley. And so with all of these drivers, it's going to be a lot of fun to see which one of these guys is going to come up top. But Gabe Wood at the top of the row, and with Tyler Jordan being on the pole, he did not lead the first lap. Gabe Wood did. Gabe Wood's also going to try and get that lap led again and try to clear him, which he'll be able to do. So Gabe Wood will eventually clear him and make way. And then so you've got a battle for 3rd position with the 16 on the bottom and the 97 on top. That's Paul Henley and Joe Burchett.
The Burchett right there in 4th. He's trying to break free of the side-by-side. That's what I was talking about with the difference between the side-by-side and, you know, getting that little bit of an upper edge on the restarts to get out in front of all of the action right now. We're pretty much still stonewalled between 3rd and 4th on the back. Sets of 2x2, probably tighter than they were on for the restart. You see Gabe Wood's 00 pull away, then Tyler Jordan's 29 in 2nd, and then there's the side-by-side off of 4. That 16 car, a Paul Henley blue car on the inside of the racetrack. He's trying to edge the 97 out. And to the 97's credit, Burchett's not letting them get away with it. Nice and tight on the corner as they really challenge each other now down the straightaway.
And this is what that smaller gear ratio, or as if you will, the smaller engine is really producing is closer racing for these guys, and it's definitely doing that as the 16 Paul Henley is able to get out in front. And so now the 97's got Ricky Harden on the inside, and a little bit of a bobble for the 97, and the 18th maybe thought about going 3 wide, but it's not going to be the case. And so him and the 70 will go side by side as another little bobble from the 97. The 15 of Harden trying to get way clear of him, but went almost too far down the track and lost a lot of speed. So Harden's going to be keeping here on the inside, and you would expect the outside to be still strong here even in these late models. Oh wow, the 15 just barely cleared the 97, just right in front of him, just barely cleared him right there.
Game of inches on the short tracks, that's what you come to expect. And that 15 Machine Harden in front of the 97 to Burchett, who ends up in all of that for doing such a good job on challenging Henley topside, ends up dropping to P5. The 18 machine, that's the car on the outside, right on board with the Todd Guerin. He doesn't want a similar fate. He's close to, I don't think he's going to be able to get back to the gas in time. He does. He gets in front of the 70 at Tyler Stevens. Gets right back to where he started in P6, but was essentially a pass for that spot because the 70 almost had him cleared just a lap ago. So the 18 bounces back and gets the spot back to where he started.
And so looking at Gabe Wood getting about half a second of a lead between himself and the number 29, Tyler Jordan. I think Gabe's probably, feeling the setups to be pretty good. He's got, 90 laps left to really know if it's a good setup for him or not before the night's over. And so Jordan's still staying in second place, and Henley, those three drivers kind of in their own area. And so when you start looking back, yeah, you're starting to see Ricky Harden have the push from Joe Burchett once again. Those two switching spots at the start of this race, and like you said, Todd Guerin still in 6th place. He's one of the only drivers, him and everyone behind him until 11th place. They're in the spots that they started in. So himself, Stevens, Green, Kerhula, which actually just might have switched places as well. But those guys are starting to now mix it up with Kerhula on the outside and the yellow number 9.
And just scrolling through the field now as things maybe calm down for a moment. Still some side-by-side action. That's the 8 car on the inside of Matthew Murphy, who's trying to just really stay where he is. On the inside, a little bit of Kerhula, but necessarily side-by-side. That 58 car out of the back end could easily tuck in. That's David Messier. He wants to run on the outside of the racetrack, maybe taking that wider arc. You see him keeping those up top. He could tuck in a lot of behind the 8, and that might end up coming to bite him because on his left rear quarter panel now is the 83 of Sean Cross. And just as I say that, he heeds that advice, tucks in line, but a caution of flying going to come out at lap number 14. There's an issue in turn number 3, and Joshua King is in it.
Yeah, big issue for the 72. I don't know whether the 35 got into him or not. Oh, yeah. Joshua King got right into him, and the 72 went and overcorrected right into the outside wall. And Roy Blum probably should have just kept on the brakes on that one, but I'm sure he felt that he was going to be able to save it. But, yeah, right back in the outside wall. Oh, big hit for him.
So it's a tough call, and you talk about the game of inches, and we saw the battles up front separated by just a little bit. That little bit of an extra charge into the corner for the 35 sent that 72, and unfortunately for Rory Blum, I think when he was sideways there, probably just should have locked it up and spun it out over corrections up into the outside wall, and that's how the cookie crumbles. You get a second look at all of this, but on the board with Will Dravicki, you see the contact's going to be in front of him. Car gets sideways, snaps up the hill, and that is where all of the damage comes from. Good heads-up move by Dravicki to hang back and then dive to the inside of the racetrack to make sure that that one was not any bigger than it ended up being. Really just a 2-car accident slows us down early yellow in the super trucks, and an early yellow here in the limited late models. Green lap number 16 under the caution of flying of 100. Pace car should be back in this time.
Yeah, that's right. So here on the back straightaway, pace car driven by none other than Christian Peterson is going to come down, and so then Gabe Wood will have control of this restart with Tyler Jordan on the outside. We'll see if Tyler Jordan's able to get that lead back from him, as looks like he's pulling him a little bit forward here in the restart zone, and I think Gabe kind of psyched him out, went as late as he could, and green flag in the air. Gabe Wood off and away, and oh, the 16 and the 29 almost got together here in front of the whole entire field in turn number 1.
And that would have been real bad, but Paul Henley keeps her straight, and he'll end up in second position by the time we get to turn number 3. Now it's the 29 of Tyler Jordan on his heels. The 97 of Joe Burchett coming up the inside of the racetrack. He wants to get third away, kick the 29 back 2 spots off to the restart. He'll do it as the 29 of Jordan checks up to get in line behind him.
Oh, the 15 Ricky Harden slams the outside wall, but is able to keep it straight, and the 18's going to get pushed up the track by the 8, and I don't know how the heck Matthew Murphy did not wreck Todd Guerin right there. But he basically was on that left rear, and he did not spin out, so I don't know how that happened, but he might this time. The 8's got to keep it under control here. Oh, there they go. There goes the 8.
The 8 car of Murphy down to the inside. He is going to keep it out of the the inside wall, sorry. And it is going to be no caution. We stay green. Tough break for Matthew Murphy. Obviously, you don't want to go around that at all. The good news is he didn't hit the inside fence, but the biggest issue is he's going to go all the way to the back with the lack of a caution flag for that incident. No reason to, though. We stay green. You can see the back straightaway is clear as the pack cycles back through. You're watching the 83 as Sean Cross in a little bit of a log jam between 8th, 9th, and 10th position. And he will tuck in line in front of the 9 James Carhula, who's not a willing participant. The 9 way to the inside. Can't make it stick, but he wants to get something cooking.
Yeah, and a little bit of redemption as well is coming to that one, as you can see these guys in the back are actually hitting each other really hard. I think I just heard Todd Guerin get to the back bumper of the 15 of Ricky Hart, who doesn't need any more damage on his car here tonight, and he's going way up the track. He's got a lot of right side damage as he pancaked the outside wall once already and almost looked to do it again on that turn, so he's going to probably just let the 18 maybe do something, as he actually just barely grazed that sand that's right there and got that car really loose, so he's not going to be able to get that position. Yeah, that sand got him really loose there in the corner, but bet you Todd Guerin has a lot more speed than the 15 right there, and maybe he had a little bit more downforce, a little bit more aerodynamic help since he got a little bit of left rear tapping on the inside of that wheel well, but that's probably just a little silliness for me, but 18 is really fast right now, and I just think he's going to let the 15 maybe wear his stuff out for the time being.
For the time being, I think is the biggest thing to keep in mind. Only going to be quarter distance at a lap and a half, so a long way to go in this race. We talked about pacing a lot in that Super Truck race, a lot larger of a field here in the limited late models. And, well, yes, it was a little bit of uncharted territory in those Super Trucks, and you heard it from Christian Peterson that going long into a race like that was unexpected, and obviously they had to make some changes to their driving style. They had at least some prior experience on how those Super Trucks would drive to be able to base that information off of. Everybody here is coming in with a clean slate under this car and with this setup on it specifically. You don't know how that car is going to be driving, say, 50 laps from now, or instead of being 25 laps in, we're going to be only with 25 laps to go. Joe Burchett continues to challenge Paul Henley for second. It's the fight you're watching now. So while we are single file, still a lot going on track.
Yeah, and I'll have to say that you talking about the setup is really quite fascinating, because Gabe Wood seems to have a handle on the setup pretty well, but he is not the fastest car on track right now, and it would actually have to be the driver in that 97, which is quite surprising to me because of the fact that he had lost so much on that restart. It just goes to show you that this setup does not favor the top at all right now, and it might later on in this race, but for the time being, this race is definitely going to be one on the inside for now. And so these guys trying to do that bottom. Now Gabe's the fastest car on the Speedway that last time by, so I feel that Gabe has a really good advantage when it comes to this, because he's typically one of those guys who can pick up something that is a little odd and a little different. Hence why he was so good in the Pontiac Solstices for the U-Car League. But you know, he's now got the guys behind him fighting, so this will help him out. The 97 on the inside, the 16 on the outside. And so these guys, they'll go fighting side by side, and 97 Burchett wants that one more position before he can go smack down with the leader of Gabe Wood.
When as soon as you started talking about Gabe Wood, I thought of the same thing. His 3 wins this year in the U-Cars, a unique setup, a unique division, if you will, makes it difficult for people to really hone in on it, and he's quick to adapting. And this side-by-side fight, as you said, is going to really help him out. The 97 of Burchett clear for a moment. The 16 stays right there. Probably could have crossed him up, but Paul Henley just stays on the bumper. Makes the 97 sweat a bit, but Burchett is going to get to P2. How much time did he lose in doing so? Gap was 1.1 before. It is now going to be 1.3. So Burchett falls 2/10. Not a terrible amount, but it does cost him some time to make that move to get up to second. Race time for him, +2 on the night.
Yeah, and this will be interesting to see if Joe Burchett has more speed than Gabe Wood at this stage in the race, because he was one of the fastest cars on the track not too long ago. And so looking at the lap times between these two, Gabe Wood is just a little bit slower than Joe right now, but they're pretty even on times. I mean, they're still running 20.5s consistently, both of them. And so maybe Gabe gets a little bit less of a time here, and maybe he gets a little bit less of a time there. But those guys are still really pretty even here, as we're looking at the battle between Guerin and the 15 of Ricky Hart. And I said this battle probably would come, and it is now. The 18's had a lot of waiting, but catching those curbs on the inside is not going to help his cause. and he still has the inside of the 15. Now I think he's just hoping for a mistake by Ricky Harden. Harden has not made many of them tonight, but has made one fatal one, and that was to the outside wall. And so he'll have to basically nurse the car the rest of the way, which is a little bit more than 60 laps here tonight.
Right now we have 16 cars overall scored on the lead lap. As you see Harden on the outside of the racetrack in that 15 drop back. You look out the back end of Tyler Jordan, who runs in a 4th position. That's Harden's nose sticking out to the outside. If the 18 of Todd Guerin can get by him, it would drop Ricky Harden down to a race low P7. Up top, Harden, somebody else who's so very good in basically any iteration of these late models. Having a little bit of a difficult time up top, trying to hang on. You go on board with the 18 as he tries to string together a couple of good corners to finish this pass off.
Yeah, so the 18 trying to get right there, trying to get that, trying to get right into the position that he needs. Sadly, right now, just don't think the advantage on the inside is as good as the outside is right now, and that's something we talked about. Or you can really push it in there. The 18 does that this time by. He really pushes it in, tries to get a little bit of those curbings to help him out, and the 15 makes a mistake, hits the outside wall, so I guess you can force your competition to make a mistake. Can't make one yourself, though, and so the 18 just makes a tiny bit of a hit to those that small little sand patch in the grass area there as well. And oh, look at the 70. 70's gonna make a mistake, so this is basically gonna be a pick or almost an accident. Wow, that's a pick for him on the 15, and he might get 2 here.
It was almost a pit maneuver on the inside. Look at the 18, he's getting no room. The 70 of Stevens is gonna get roughed up, and he's into the outside wall. Saw that one coming from a mile away. Tyler Stevens absolutely sandwiched the 18 car, and Todd Garrett was tired of it. Just gave him the slightest bit of a rub on that left rear quarter panel, and it sent Stevens up and into the wall. And that is quintessential short track exchanging blows that time. Stevens, through all of that, gonna fall down to P7.
Yeah. As bad as that was, it did. It could have been worse. I think any situation really can be a little bit worse, but that one definitely could have been a little bit worse. As Tyler's still on the track, and yeah, that right side is pretty darn squished up. But the guy in front of him has a similar problem, so he's not the only one out there with a hurt race car right now, and so a lot of these guys are going to be hurting after some damage. But also want to mention that the lead has come down good amount between Wood and Burchett. The number 00 car has now fallen below 1 second, and it is falling every single lap. One of two things is happening: either Gabe Wood is letting him come back in to only give him a false sense of security, or Gabe is indeed losing time. Typically it's not the typically it's the second of the two that's happening, so we'll have to keep monitoring the distance between those two guys.
That comes down to the numbers game, like we were talking about in the Super Trucks. Is all you can do in a race like this. I don't think you could focus on the car in front of you and the car behind you every single lap by lap. You just have to get into a rhythm, which is the biggest thing. And a lot of time in short track racing, especially in this kind of a series where we do 20 and 30 lap main events, it's very difficult to get into a rhythm. You get 2-3 yellows, and you're not going green flag racing for any more than 6 or 7 laps. In the real world, you know, you get a lot more of these 100-lap races, these bigger events, of course, that we have with the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, and that rhythm, that consistency comes into play. But that, I think, going to be the single biggest key to finding some success in this limited late model race. 16 cars still scored on the lead lap. All of those who aren't are out of this race. Scott Attic, Rory Blum, DJ Beverly, Randy Yoko over 20 laps. So if you're got a race car that's still, I guess, got 4 wheels on it, and that's all you could ask, they are on track right now and funding up front. Gabe Wood and Joe Burchett continue to put down pretty close lap times. Gabe Wood last time 2/10, a little bit better.
Yeah, and they're some of the fastest guys on the speedway. As I start to look through all of the field, Gabe Wood is running pretty much, or not Gabe Wood, the 97 Joe Burchett, he's basically running the fastest times, but everyone in the field is pretty much running similar times. These two just happen to be at the front end running just a little bit faster, are starting to pull away. It's basically by tenths each lap between these two guys. They're basically running more consistent than anyone else. They're running less on their tires. I think that's really important to note, is that they're not running as hard on their tires, and Joe Burchett did slide a little bit. Joe's actually starting to slide through the corners a little bit, and this might scrub some speed off for him. And so if Gabe has any teammates, which I don't think he does right now, he'll be happy to hear that Joe is starting to have a little bit of a struggle. But if he starts to have one himself, then of course it's not good either. So he's starting to pull away a little bit consistently over 2 laps now, and we'll see if he's able to do that. It's a battle for the 4th position. Tyler Jordan trying to hold up the 18 on the outside. 18 has an advantage, actually almost got into him there in the middle of the corner as we hit the halfway mark.
Halfway home in this one from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, and it is a long race, so let's take this opportunity to take a look at an iRacing Midway race break as we work through the green flag racing conditions. Your Midway race break is brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks from all around the globe. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series with the likes of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Global Rallycross, and so many more. Working lap number 52 for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Gabe Wood is your race leader, 8/10 in front of Joe Burchett. Caution flag is going to come out, so we'll take a look at this again in just a moment. It's the 9 car of James Carhula, who's around from P9.
And oh man, was it big. He got into turn number 1 with a lot of steam, and the back end just kicked out, and he tried to get slowed down. And as we're starting to watch it here, gets a little bit loose, comes right back up, gets destroyed. And I think someone else comes into this because there's a couple of, I thought there's 3 cars in this accident total. But him in the 90, yeah, completely destroyed. We'll have to get another look at it here, but yeah, we'll take a look back. So here he comes into the corner, starts to get loose, and you know it's gonna get lost here. And so here comes the 90 into the picture, and then oh, there it is, right there, right in the inside wall.
It's a big hit for both of those cars involved. 30 going to be down pit road. The Donna James Carhula is also down pit road. That is how things are going to cycle through. Let's just run you through the running order now under the yellow flag, because the caution flag jumped in right on us, and of course you can see them go across the top of your screen. Gabe Wood, still your race leader. He's no longer going to be at that 0.8 of a second advantage. Joe Burchett is in second spot, and you look like Paul Henley, 3rd position, exactly where he started. Todd Garrett is 4th. Pole sitter Tyler Jordan runs into number 5 spot. Ricky Harden is 6th. Tyler Stevens 7th. 8th spot. Jody Green 9th is David Messier, and Matthew Murphy rounds out your top 10.
Right now, Joshua King sits in 11th with Christian Murphy, 12th, and Sean Cross, 13th. So still begin the list of drivers who are either out or just involved in that accident with 1 to go. James Carhula finds himself in 14th, Wildravicki 15th, Jeremy Watkins finds himself in 16th, and then the rest of these guys basically out of this one. Randy Yoakum, Roy Blum, DJ Beverly, and Scott Addock to finish out the 20-car field here around the halfway mark.
Now they look top to bottom, and restart going to be due up shortly. Pace car speeds off and away down to pit road. All of a sudden, not a 100-lap race. Talking about those cautions that really break into the focus and the rhythm that you get into. We were watching a good exchange between 1st and 2nd. Joe Burchett pretty close to Gabe Wood on lap times. Let's see if he can do that when he's side by side with them. Green flag back in the air. Gabe Wood so good, and he pulls 3 car lengths in front to turn 1. The 97 to Burchett goes top to bottom, safely in line P2, but already having a 4 car length disadvantage.
Yeah, Gabe got a great start there, and really far away. And also don't pay no mind to the ticker. It's going to say caution for a little bit here, but yeah, he's going to have a great lead over all these guys right now. And Joe is going to have to try and fend off some drivers behind him. The 18 of Todd Guerin was really strong towards the end of that run, so with around 40 laps to go, Todd Guerin has kind of put a little bit of strength into this one as Gabe Wood still continues to show the way.
And you wonder if the 00 can make this last for quite some time in that super truck feature before this. But if you didn't tune in with us, go back and check it out when we're all done here, 100 laps as well. The guys who went out front and led early didn't have a lot of success late. Peterson got there about a third of the way through and held on from there, but the firsts and the seconds and the thirds and so on and so forth didn't have the success that you might have expected. Do we see that same attrition rate? The drivers who run 1 through 8 right now all started inside of the top 10. We haven't seen those big movers like we saw in the other races tonight.
Yeah, right, and I think this has to do with the fact that the setup's not as racy, or not as, it's still racy because these guys are side by side the whole time, but it's not as powerful up the corners as some other series we have. It's just not as good as you're seeing, or good in the power department. But you're seeing Gabe Wood starting to be challenged by the 97 of Joe Burchett. Joe had got a really good run that last time by, and was about the same as Gabe this time by, but Gabe right now, he's got a lot of driver behind him, because Joe and Todd, they have been really fast towards the end of these runs, and he was at least right now, at least at this point, Gabe has been has had no one behind him really fight for position.
Obviously, you can't, you know, what you're going to do in a certain situation unless you know, but for Joe Burchett, you know, 97 machine side by side with Gabe Wood. And really, I think, put himself behind the 8 ball with that little bit of a slow jump out of the gate. But now you're back in line. You're running your line. I don't think that you can run perfectly, unbothered by Gabe Wood if you got a car sitting right in front of you, Coop. I know that you want to do as much as you can when you're single file to just run your line, but the 97 has to be probably getting on the brakes a tad bit earlier to not get into the 00 and all of those different things. But the lap times have been there, and Todd Garrett very much in this conversation. He's only an extra car length back. Ricky Harden still in it as well, only 8/10 back and forth. Gabe Wood is not way out in front of everybody on speed like we saw with Peterson in the super truck race. So this one's going to come down to how well you execute the final 35 laps of this race as of this time by.
Yeah, so this little street 3-stack here at the front of the field is basically where it's at when it comes to the action on the field. You've got Todd Guerin. Once again, I said that he really came up through the field, was riding on board with him. He came up through the field quite nicely. He lost a few positions on a couple restarts, and basically is right back at it. And you can see him just basically just shading the same line as the guys in front of him. And I think at this point it's not too early to fight for position, but I'd say if you make a move right now, I think it's gonna be easy for that outside line to really defend against. So whenever you feel you're comfortable to really make that move and pass, I think you've got to make it pretty quick. So 97 gets the inside right there. He shades it, doesn't more than shades it. He had the inside. Gabe's gonna block to the inside, so he won't get the entrance in the corner here. And so this is really going to stack these guys up. 97 comes back again, lays the bumper. You can't fit anything between those two at that point as Gabe goes up the track just a little bit in the corner. 97 was right there, and there was no pulling punches right there between those two. If Gabe had even let off just a little bit, 97 would have been right into him.
He's looking to the inside. There's those curbs again. Sometimes drivers like to use them to help the cars rotate. Looked like it might have hurt Burchett a little bit that last time, but he is right there, breathing down the neck of Gabe Wood. The 00 chopped a little bit low that time, but at turn 4, seeing the 97 sticking nose to the inside. It's a relatively easy racetrack on that front straightaway if you are committed to it, to get yourself to the inside line, because you see on the back straightaway they go up top, but on the front stretch where you have the progressive D-shaped front straightaway of this Myrtle Beach Speedway, look how open the inside is as you're on board with Joe Burchett. If you can get a good run at a turn number 4 and just flash the nose to the 00, you don't have to get all the way in there, I think, to scare Gabe Wood good enough to convince him to give you that spot, and Burchett continues to challenge lap after lap.
Yeah, and I thought that for a second Todd Guerin would be out of the picture, but Todd has basically been there the whole time, putting the pressure on him as well. So any mistake that he makes, he's going to have to regret that immediately, just because of the sole fact that the 18 is also right there. So the fact that the 18 is actually losing a little speed does help the 97's cause. So I will say that this is only helping the 97 by the 18 losing some speed, but Gabe is doing a good job of defending his position for the time being, although I have a feeling feeling that 97 got some speed in there, and he's going to show it here sooner or later. It's going to happen in the next few laps, and Gabe's got to be feeling the pressure right now. And knowing the way he drives, he's not going to want to give this one up easily. He really wants to win in these series. Of all the non-winners in this series, he wants to be that guy.
And what is Todd Guerin thinking in all of this? The 18 machine has not been on the back bumper to Joe Burchett as much as Burchett's been on Gabe Wood. The 97 gains a little bit here. You see a car length back as he tightens it up once more. So the 97 has lost a little bit of time on occasions, trying to make a move on Gabe Wood and it not working. Those are, in theory, opportunities for Todd Guerin to jump on him and pass him. But I think that the 18 realizes that at this moment, a side-by-side battle for second hurts both of those cars. I think he doesn't want to eat up at his stuff. He'll let the 97 do his dirty work for him and then jump on it when the time is right. 25 laps to go, so not a ton of time to figure out just when that'll be.
Yeah, and I think something else to notice that there's not just 3 drivers under 1 second behind, or not just 2 drivers behind Gabe Wood that are under a second behind him. Ricky Harden has entered that group, and Ricky Harden's only 8/10 behind, so he's starting to join this group. You can actually see him in the shot right now and how close he has become these guys just because of how single file they are. He might be this driver actually faster than all 3 of them, and in fact, he is really fast in comparison. He's not the fastest among them all, but he is just as quick as them, if not faster than when they have a little bit of a hiccup. So the 15, despite the damage he's got on that machine, is making some work happen underneath the behind the wheel of that thing. So while the 97 and the 00 basically go bumper to bumper, lap after lap, the 18 kind of watches. The 15's getting there as well. But yeah, I think you're right about the 2 in front of him. Once they go side by side, it's going to be a lot easier for Todd to really make his moves, although he's starting to lose these guys a little, I think. I think he's not going to be as good at the moment. So for now, I think that's something he has to wait for. He's just losing these guys just a tiny bit, or maybe he is just sitting back behind and waiting for that opportunity as he does power into that corner. Perhaps he is doing that. Perhaps Todd is doing that.
Well, he's going to have to, like you said, if he's sitting on the 97 and waiting, because I think he's passed up a couple of opportunities, that's okay at 40 to go. That's, okay at maybe 30 laps to go, but 20 laps to go this time by. I don't think you can sit around and wait much longer. And Burchett, give him his credit, hasn't gotten to the bumper yet. He's doing everything he can to establish position on the inside of the 00 with Gabe Wood. But sooner or later, you're going to have to get physical, because if you don't lay onto that 00 a little bit, the 18's going to get tired of sitting around and move you. So it's one of those things where the system works against you. Short track racing is not designed to be a spectator sport.
Yeah, and the fact that possibly the 18 could get into the 97, which could also get into Gabe Wood and land him into victory lane. That would be something special, but he has to be there, and I just think he's losing a little bit too much speed in these corners on the backstretch. It's minimal amounts of track position, but it is happening. And 97 might make the move right here. He goes to the inside of Gabe Wood. Wood leaves the door open just a little bit, and Gabe's gonna have the power off, but the 97 was right there, had to check it just a tiny bit, and so this is where it starts to come. And look at the 18, he's right back in it. So I think he's saving. I think he's waiting for something to happen, and that might happen here as the 97 has the inside position. He goes for the move on the inside of turn number 1.
Side by side we go for the race lead for Myrtle Beach. Gabe Wood pinching the 97 down. Last time we saw that happen, the car on the outside was in the outside wall coming out of turn number 4. The 00 gives him a lot more room in, tries to pinch him a little bit off of the corner. What that's going to do is not let the 97 to Burchett get back to the gas. Has to sit down there and wait a little bit longer, and that's the weapon that the outside line can use to fight against the drivers on the inside, taking the shorter way around the racetrack. Still side by side. Todd Guerin's right there in third. Who does he go with? Does he follow the 97? Does he go up top, follow Gabe Wood, trying to get around the 97 machine of Burchett, who's going to have an advantage to turn 1 because Gabe Wood got the wall that time at the line.
He's going to have the advantage off the corner by having the momentum, but that is going to hurt him altogether just because of the fact that he did scrub off a lot, and unless he's able to contest, I think he overdrove it right there. And yeah, I think the 97 is going to be able to not quite clear him, but was close. Yeah, that really hurt Gabe, and I think he's going to be wanting to pull that back. Still has a nose on the 97 here coming off of turn number 2. The 97's letting him have it too, because I had a feeling that he could have pulled up the track, but at the same time the 18's right there. Look at the 15, he's there. Oh, and the 97 gives Gabe a push. Gabe may remember that for later.
You never forget at a short track, and the thing that I always caution is if you're going to make a move like that, you don't want to make it with enough time left on the clock for them to pay that favor back. Gabe Wood has fallen to 2nd position for the first time since the start of the race. A mistake by Todd Garrett, 3rd position. The 18 caught that inside wall. He's going to be able to stay in front of Harden, but that might take him out of the battle for the race win here.
Yeah, those two now going to fight for 3rd place behind him now too, and so they might be out of the race for the lead or for the win as well. So the 18 and the 15, they'll basically have their own battle unless Todd is able to really reel this back in here. And so with those four doing battle, I think that's basically going to sum up the battles for position, although we do have a big pack just inside the top 10. All of them for position, the 87, the 58, the 70, the 8, and the 29. They're still doing battle for position, but we'll keep our eyes up front here for the time moment, at least us here in the booth.
See if anything else comes from that. You're on board, though, with Gabe Wood. Role reversal now. He's chasing the 97 to Burchett, and the 97's keeping him at about a car length back. If the 00 can get to the bumper, he can try to give the 97 a little bit of a nudge and move him up. But when Burchett was trailing Wood, he was all over the back bumper. Gabe Wood is by no means far off. He's only a car length off, but that's a big difference between being at that distance and being right on him when it comes to what kind of moves you can make. The 97 makes a mistake, though. Really tight that top off of the corner. He'll shut the door on the 00.
Yeah, Gabe had to kind of give that to him because that happened to him once or twice, I think. And so at some point you do have to take what you can get, and so Gabe gave him that one and let him kind of survive. And Gabe's getting on those rumble strips right there, so he's basically going all or nothing right there. He uses those in the U-car division, but you don't typically see them in these race cars because of how flat they are. He also uses the apron right there to try and just get a little bit of an advantage. I think right now Gabe's got to hope for a big issue right here with the number 97 because he's been strong all night, and I think this is going. He's either going to have to move him or he's going to have to hope for a mistake, or just get up to the back bumper and just slowly get by him. But with about 6 laps to go, he's going to have to really make some moves happen, and it's going to happen like this lap or next lap.
Running out of time. Going to be 5 laps left to go the next time by. Does not mean the pointed or return, but the manual caution flags that we have. You could probably have a restart in this race all the way up and to coming to the white flag in this race. The 97 Burchett still now stretching little bit by little bit. But there is again a big difference between right on the bumper and a car length, and there's even a bigger difference from a car length to 2 car lengths now, and Joe Burchett pulling out of turn number 2.
Yeah, he's doing an absolutely good job right now, just keeping it steady. And Gabe might be overdriving just a little bit here in the corner, just trying to see if he's got anything left in the machine. And for him to lead the most laps tonight, not win the race, is going to be hard to swallow. But at the same time, he's done a great job all night. Although race isn't over yet, anything can happen with 97. He's got to be on his toes. And oh wow, look at Gabe. He smoked the left front tire. So Gabe is absolutely throwing everything at it. So. Yeah, wow, I can't believe it. I have not seen that all season long with drivers going into the corner too hot. This isn't a track you can do that in because the setups have been so loose instead of tight, which we might be experiencing tonight, which is kind of interesting. So Gabe basically throwing everything and maybe even including the kitchen sink at it.
You gotta do what you gotta do. 2 laps left to go for Myrtle Beach Speedway. Does the 00 have one final trick up his sleeve, or is Joe Burchett going to have waited and made the right move at the right time, made the pass for the race lead with 11 laps to go in this race? The 00 has been close, but not close enough. Penultimate time at a turn number 4, white flag in the air. Gabe Wood, better lap that time, back within a car length, higher entry. He'll try to tuck it low here off of the corner, keeping it about a half a lane lower, and all the way to the wall. Here we go, turn number 3. Gabe Wood's going to drive it in hard. He'll look to the inside, but it is not going to happen. Joe Burchett hangs on long enough and wins the limited late models from Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, and he did a great job. And something I noticed that last lap was those last 2 corners. Gabe, the way he drove those last corners, I mean, he actually stayed with the 97 that time. So I think maybe he'll take that knowledge and maybe put it in the back pocket, because if he'd done that maybe for 3 laps prior, he might have had something for him. But nonetheless, Joe did have, I think, the superior car. I think he had a superior drive behind the wheel and was able to get the job done at the end of the night. And what a night for him, and he becomes a winner in these cars.
The 97's got some celebrating to do. Burning it down on the front straightaway. Joe Burchett, your winner tonight in the first limited late model race we've seen in this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, and it was a fun one all the way down to the wire. And that just goes to show you, Coop, you don't have to have a lot of late race restarts to have a great race at a short track.
Oh yeah, exactly. And these guys kept it even most of the race, and with the setup being even across the board, it was basically everyone behind the wheel and what they could do. So really fun to watch these guys and see what they could do, and they did a great job tonight. And Joe Burchett came on top.
97 finishes this one out in front. He's your race winner tonight. Hopefully we'll get a word with him in just a moment. Before we try to, let's take a look top to bottom at your full race results tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Joe Burchett goes to victory lane in the limited late models. First time we've seen him, so first time win for the driver of the number 97 Toyota. Gabe Wood close but not able to hang on. Still a fantastic showing. Stayed inside of the top 2 almost for, I think, every single lap of this race to come home there when it was all said and done. Todd Guerin gets a 3rd place finish out of this one with Ricky Harden and Jody Green through the top 5. Paul Henley finishes in the number 6 spot, 7th for Matthew Murphy. David Messier is 8th, 9th is Christian Murphy, and 10th for Sean Cross.
Finishing last car on the lead lap would be Joshua King. Tyler Stevens finishes 12th, with Tyler Jordan finishing 13th. James Kahula 14th. Will Javicki would finish 15th. 16th finishes Jeremy Watkins. Rory Blum 17th, with Randy Yoakum 18th. And then DJ Beverly and Scott Addick finishing 19th and 20th tonight.
So that's a complete look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Go down and get a word with your race winner tonight in the limited late models. It goes to Joe Burchett. Joe, congratulations on the win. You started up in 4th position, but I don't think you led a lap until those final 11. You sat on the back bumper of Gabe Wood for a long time. What was the strategy there, and what finally made you make your move there at 11 to go?
Just wanted to bide my time. Didn't want to make the move super early to give him the chance to get behind me and possibly save enough tire to mount another run. Just kept noticing he was drifting up a lot out of 4, and I could really get out of 4 better than him, and hopefully could get to the bottom going into 1. So yeah, that coming out of 4 was the key to me all night.
We've seen a couple of different things here with these late models in this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Obviously, we've seen the late model stocks just run it on the way we are. We've seen them heavily modified for the Chargers division, and then tonight with a little bit of a different setup on them for our limited late models. How did they drive out there in a pack of 20 cars?
After about 5 to 6 laps, once the tires start to get a little wear on them, they do get extremely loose.
Exactly.
It is a handful.
So then it's exactly what we were expecting, and it's what we saw. We saw a lot of people slipping and sliding. And any close calls for you, or were you able to kind of tame it enough to be able to be comfortable? Because we saw when you were tracing Gabe there a lot, took to the inside of the racetrack, really weren't door banging on each other. So it looked like you guys had things figured out at that point. Where was that line, and how'd you figure out how hard you could drive it?
Mainly it's just once we got past that restart and I got up and was able to get behind Gabe, I just tried to follow in his tire tracks for 10, 11 laps to kind of see where he was running to keep that speed. And then I just kind of got that line down and tried to hold it the rest of the race, and just seemed like the car was able to hold that line compared to his over that later run.
Well, it was an exciting one for us to watch, and I'm sure it was definitely fun for you behind the wheel, but I know it's a little bit extra fun when you guys are able to park it in victory lane tonight. You look back on this thing as a whole, you started up front, you finished up front. How do you feel like you executed on things to put yourself in that right position late?
I think I did exactly what I needed to do. And I just wanted to ride. I mainly just wanted to get a good finish. Once I had the opportunity to get to second, I said, well, what the heck? Might as well try to get the win.
That's exactly what you guys did. And well, we've got you down at Victory Lane. Show sponsors or shout outs. Anybody else you want to say hi to while we're taking a look at the number 97 car?
I just want to thank my sponsors, Swamp Dust Seasoning, Clarence Steakhouse, Danville Toyota. Thank my team, Overtake Motorsports. Thank my spotter, Tim Giles, and everyone at Overtake. And thank you guys for doing the broadcast.
We appreciate you being a part of this race tonight, Joe. We also appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win. Go enjoy it, and hopefully we'll catch you on another Wednesday night soon.
Thank you.
Race winner tonight in the limited late models, Joe Burchett gets it on top of Gabe Wood, and I think if you look top to bottom on the night, Coop, I'd say that was probably the best race we saw all night.
Yeah, it was one of the better races we've seen all season, with the fact that really, I mean, it was one of those to the end kind of moments too. We weren't sure whether Burchett was going to be able to hold the lead, and wasn't really sure whether Burchett was actually going to get the lead at that point. So really neat to see that out of all the non-winners, he's able to get to the end and make it happen, and cleanly too. You know, he did have that little nudge on Gabe, but in the end, it was a fairly clean race as well, which I think that made it more exciting for us and more enjoyable.
And of course, this is not the end of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. We saw obviously the special races tonight with the limited late models. We've seen a variation, I guess I should say, of some special events over the course of the year. Obviously, earlier on, the Tour Modifieds, the Dash for Cash Nationals, and the Outlaw Late Models, and things here and there. And we are not quite done yet, because there is one final week left in this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Is going to be coming up next week on the 28th of February, and that is the Myrtle Beach 400 Coupe that we teased a little bit earlier on tonight. Late model stocks are back for the final time, 200 laps in them, and then 125 laps in the Tour Modified. Should be a good one to close out what has been a long, and will at that point be a 21-week long campaign.
Right, exactly, and we're really excited to bring that together here again. Once again, we've done it once, and we'll do it again. It'll be just another amazing, fun, exciting race. It'll only have 2 races per night, but nonetheless, it'll be just as exciting as last season, and it'll be action packed, just like it was tonight, and just like it has been in seasons past.
And of course, once this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series rounds down to a close, plenty of short track racing going to be coming up with our friends at the Championship Esports Association. We look forward to next Wednesday, where we put a book on this first ever Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. The good news is, as always, you never have to wait that long to catch us next time out on LSRTV and iRacing Live. We'll be back this Friday and Saturday, 2 double headers coming up for you. It all starts at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Friday night with the Super Speedway IROC Series, and then the Sunwest Construction Super Speedway Cup Series immediately after at 9. And on Saturday, 9 o'clock, it is the Bootleg Racing League's Outlaw Modified Series at 9 Eastern, followed by the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Trucks at 10. Full upcoming broadcast schedule can be found by going online to www.livesimracing.com. I would recommend, though, following us on social media to stay up to date. That'll be on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official, and on Twitter at LSRTV. Until next time, though, on behalf of the entire team behind the scenes at Live Sim Racing LLC, the folks who make it happen up in the booth night in and night out, and of course for your team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop, and our producer Cisco Scaramouza, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate our race winners on the night for week number 20 of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Tommy Ryan winning earlier tonight in the mini stocks, Christian Peterson in the super trucks, and Joe Burchett in the limited late models. We will be back next Wednesday. It is the final race of the season, the Myrtle Beach 400, next Wednesday, February the 28th. That race and every race of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, presented by the Championship Esports Association, can always be found right here on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Until next time, good night.